When you're strange, faces come out of the rain. When you're strange, no one remembers your name. When you're strange, when you're strange, when you're strange. Alright, yeah.
Hi, welcome to the DC Marvel Battlecast, where we discuss all things DC and Marvel related, and we debate who would win in versus battle matchups. I'm Johnny DC.
And I'm his twin brother, Marvelous Joe.
The song at the beginning was People Are Strange by The Doors from the album The Very Best of The Doors. Alright. Available on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you buy or stream music.
And remember that if you want to, you can listen to that song and the rest of the songs that we use at the beginning of our Battlecast by going onto Spotify and doing a search for DC Marvel Battlecast, and you can find them there.
Yeah, and I mean, don't be shocked if you're the only subscriber so far.
Yeah, we don't have any subscribers.
No, I think there's like one.
But we have three playlists that you can subscribe to. We have the songs that we play at the beginning of the podcast, and we have a list of Marvel movie themes and a list of DC movie themes. So feel free to subscribe if you're ever on Spotify.
Yeah, they're cool. So before we get into everything, don't forget you could subscribe to us on iTunes, SoundCloud, or check us out on YouTube.
Yes.
You can follow us on Twitter at DC Marvel Battle, or if you want to contact us, you can do it via there, or email us at dcmarvelbattlecast@gmail.com. All right, so quick rundown of everything we're going to talk about in this episode. We're going to talk about the new Wonder Woman trailer, the new Batman Lego movie trailer, which is crazy because there were no big DC news movie news items last episode, no trailers. Mm-hmm. And this week there's no Marvel movie news.
Right, yeah, we're scarce on Marvel, but we are reviewing Doctor Strange later on in the episode, so that kind of makes up for it, I think.
So after the Lego Batman movie trailer, we're going into some Punisher Netflix news and some Defenders news.
Yeah, in general, yeah.
Yeah. We're going to talk about the departure of Rick Famuyiwa as the director of The Flash. Steppenwolf has been cast in Justice League, and we'll be talking about Johnny Blaze potentially on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Well, it's not potentially. He did show up in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and it's not really a news item, but it was cool to see the character, Johnny Blaze, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and so I just wanted to touch on that briefly. So,
cool.
All right. Let's get into it then. Wonder Woman trailer.
Yes. You start.
I liked it. I don't think it was as good as the Comic-Con trailer.
Really?
I don't think it got me quite as hyped. A few things that concerned me were Gal Gadot's accent, I think.
Oh, you didn't like it?
It's a little heavy in some spots.
Okay, that's only slightly racist.
No, it's not racist. It's just... it feels like she's having some trouble forming the words in English, and I don't know if that's... I mean, you could rationalize that as part of her character, considering she's not an English...
She's not American.
She's not American. So, I mean, that could work, right? I guess.
Well, yeah, I mean, I was actually thinking about that when, there's, everyone in American films speaks English. So if she's not American and they're speaking English on her island, and then, Steve is communicating with them, I didn't think about that until her accent, because I will be honest, I noticed it as well. I don't mind it, but it's definitely noticeable.
Yeah, I think there's a kind of a tendency among a lot of American filmmakers where if the assumption is that the character is supposed to speak perfect English, but the accent keeps slipping through, that it's like a problem or like maybe a lack of, I don't know, culture or intelligence or something. And I want to stress that's not the case here. The character is not American. I don't necessarily think she's supposed to be a prolific English speaker. Mm-hmm. She's Greek, right? Greek. Yeah. So,
but accents aside, I don't know anyone else who had that problem.
Really?
And this trailer I thought was
good,
really good. It's not. It wasn't as good as the Logan trailer, but I would say it was as good as the Comic-Con trailer. I was just rewatching it and watching it. There's so many good moments in this trailer.
There were moments that were better. I absolutely love the scene where I think it's a great introduction between the two characters of Steve Trevor and Diana. Where
it tells a great story.
Yeah, she sees him crash in those beautiful waters. That was just,
oh my gosh,
the visuals right there were pretty good, and the way she dives in and everything. And we know from there she'll take him out of the water and she'll say, "You're a man," and things like. She'll be surprised by what she finds. So that's a pretty cool setup, I think.
Really good like color adding or color tweaking.
Yeah, there's actually color in a DC film now.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there was color in Suicide Squad. It was used kind of sparingly.
Yeah.
But I mean, like,
I think it makes sense. You're in paradise.
Yeah. I think this is even more saturated though, and
super saturated for sure. Yeah.
I think
And very Zack Snyder, like very like the opening sequence with like slow motion. I mean, it's not Zack Snyder, but they seem to be borrowing from that playbook.
Yeah, in terms of the action and the slow mo and stuff.
The action looks great.
I have to say that the guy. Okay, so there's the scene where the Amazonians are fighting the German soldiers who I guess followed Steve Trevor onto the island, and so one of them does a cool move where she tethers herself to one of the rocks and is like shooting. She's swinging.
It was badass
While she's shooting, and like one of the soldiers pulls up like this amazing trick shot, like where he shoots like between two rocks. And like as she's swinging and it manages to hit her, it looks like
he may not have been aiming for her.
That's valid.
Yeah. It was like so cool just like to see these Amazons in action, and then to see that I was like, holy shit, you do not fuck around with the Amazons. And then like the slow motion shot, and you could just see Diana's look on her face, like, what is that? It's really tragic.
Yeah, she's kind of naive. It's kind of her, her eyes are opened kind of at that moment. She becomes aware of the horrors of the world outside of where she lives, and I think that kind of motivates her to try to that's what motivates her to leave the island and to gather up her weapons or something. What did you think about?
I think it's a great character setup. I think she's going to have a really good arc in this film. Honestly, this looks like to Wonder Woman what the original Richard Donner film was to Superman. I think The Man of Steel was a really good movie, I think, but if you're trying to define the essence or capture the essence of Superman, Richard Donner probably did it better.
Mm-hmm.
This
the motivations.
Well, motivations and just characterization.
Okay.
This looks like it's gonna be a really good. I'm hesitant to say perfect just because
don't say perfect.
I keep saying that it just looks like it's gonna be a really good interpretation of Wonder Woman.
It's going to be the only one that you've seen, so I mean,
I
don't know what you could compare that against. I think I like the World War I backdrop. We all know that Wonder Woman made her debut actually in World War II in the comics and everything, but the fact that they moved it to World War I think we mentioned before due to the Captain America film.
I think that's one of the reasons.
Yeah. I like the backdrop for this because World War I was a strange period in time where there was the technology was not evenly distributed. It was just the start of the Industrial Revolution. People, some armies had metal helmets and tanks and planes and things like that. Very new technology, and they were going up against people with
feathered caps,
with bayonets and lances and exactly. So I do like how they're it seems like the bad guy is using some kind of anteed up chemical warfare kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
Something that, because there was a lot, they wore a lot of gas masks on the field in World War I because a lot of chemical warfare was used. It was very experimental at the time. And they would use chlorine on each other. It was just all this effed up stuff.
Yeah.
Because the chlorine would sink into the trenches and there was a lot of trench warfare that went on.
Right.
You'd have,
because it was heavier than the air.
Yeah.
It was mustard gas.
Right.
World War I is why it's now illegal to use chemical warfare in battles.
It didn't play really a huge part in World War II. World War I kind of opened up the people's eyes and was like, wow, this is we should not be doing this to other human beings.
Yeah.
So the fact that the bad guy, it seems I think it's the girl in the mask. She seems to be making these chemical weapons, I think.
Yeah, she might be Dr. Poison. And I'm not too familiar with the character at all. I only heard of her when I was reading articles saying, "Oh, we think we know who this character in the trailer is."
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Poison apparently was created by William Moulton Marston.
Okay.
She was pretty early on in Wonder Woman's career, so highly appropriate that she's in this film.
Yeah.
And she does deal with poisons and
So that all kind of
chemicals.
worked out
Yeah.
with the whole time period and everything.
Yeah,
Like the
exactly.
fact that like her mask can like shatter gas masks and everything like that. That just
Yeah.
looks creepy as stuff.
The interesting thing, this might be a spoiler. Dr. Poison in the comic like wore a mask and people thought that Dr. Poison was a man. But when they took off the mask, it turns out it was this princess. I forget her name. But like this European princess. So I wonder if they're gonna play that same angle. Like if he's like she's wearing like this like plastics like because they didn't have plastic surgery back there, so if your face was messed up, you like wore masks like that. That like
Yeah, it's kind of creepy.
segmented mask. Yeah, it is creepy.
It's like a
But I wonder
prosthetic,
if like
facial
if
prosthetic.
she takes it off, like she may be fine. I don't know if it's like some kind of new kind of gas mask and that makes her immune to. I don't know. This is all speculation, but it might be interesting if maybe like she's actually like this missing important character princess from the film. Who knows? Maybe not.
What did you think of the alley scene where she's blocking the bullets? It reminded me a lot of Superman 2.
No, that's in Superman 1.
Or Superman 1, that's
Superman
right.
1.
Yeah,
But
where he catches the bullet out of the air.
Yeah. But yeah, I like how it like bounces off of her gauntlet and into his hand just to like play up on that fact. He's like, ow. Yeah, that was a really cool scene. I love the way they like set it up earlier too, like how she was watching the bullet move in slow motion. If you look at Steve Trevor's face, like his face like is just like still. She has like it's kind of like showing that she has faster reflexes so that she can block bullets. And then even the scene later on when she's emerging from the trench and there's just a really like gorgeous looking scene where the bullet's flying at her and just like sparks off of her bracelet. It's like those iconic moments that make me feel like they really captured what Wonder Woman is in this.
I mean, if the movie sucks overall, at least you'll have those moments. Seems like there was a lot more action.
A lot
in this.
Yeah, and good looking action too. Like the scene where like she's like doing a flip and then like hits the ground running with her sword.
Yeah, that was
like
cool.
crashing through like windows and stuff like that. It's holy shit.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
There was some lasso action where she like slams something down.
Yeah, it's
It was kind of hard to make out what was going on there.
Yeah, I frame by framed that. It's the guy. What's his name?
Danny Houston.
Danny Houston. Yeah, it's Danny Houston's character. We don't know who he is yet. I mean, if she's able to do that with him, if she's able to, anyone who is able to go toe to toe with Wonder Woman has to be some kind of superpowered individual. I think he's Ares.
He might. You think he's Ares and he's profiting off the World War One war?
I think
Not
so.
profiting, but you know, gaining power. Because
yeah.
Ares does draw power from war and
War
conflict.
and
right?
conflict. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think that's a no brainer that the Ares is in this film.
Okay.
And I mean, they may not like reveal that he's Ares until like the third act or something like that. But I think it makes a lot of sense.
Do you think any other Greek gods are going to show up?
Oh, that's a good question.
Like Zeus or I don't know, Apollo,
that's a great question.
Poseidon or something.
Maybe I don't know. What would that look like? That'd be kind of interesting. They'd have to do it a lot like Thor.
Yeah.
Like they would have to explain that they were like some other, or maybe they wouldn't. Maybe they would just say that these are gods.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Is she flying in this?
I was wondering the same thing.
At the end, because it kind of looked like when she was slamming him down, and it looked like there's a shot where she's blocking 2 lightning bolts.
Yeah.
It's like the last shot, I think.
Yeah. Before it goes into the badass music.
Before the title card. Kind of looks like she's flying.
Because the platform she's on kind of looks like it's like falling to her. It's almost like she's fighting like in another plane, like maybe like a godly plane or something like that. I don't know. So flying may just
Like
be a result of
in Hades or something. You think?
I don't think she's fighting Hades. I don't know.
Or in the underworld. I mean,
some kind of otherworldly kind of place. You know how she says like she's fought creatures from other worlds before in BVS. I don't know. Maybe.
Do you want Wonder Woman to be able to fly in the DC cinematic universe? Or do you just... Because there's been several iterations of the character. Like, I think when she first came around, she wasn't able to fly.
Right.
She was just able to jump far. And
Yeah.
You know, honestly, from Batman vs. Superman, the movie, I wasn't able to tell if she was able to fly in that movie or not.
Well, she was definitely leaping around and stuff.
Yeah.
They didn't show her fly. But I think if you're going to have her fly, don't do the invisible jet. But if you're just
You don't
gonna
like the
have her,
invisible jet?
Well, no, I don't mind it. I hate when people show her inside of it because like the whole purpose, the whole idea of the invisible jet is stealth. It's like this cloaked jet. You can't see her inside of it. It's not a glass jet. When she's inside of it, you can't see her at all. So yeah, and I think if you aren't going to have her fly and you do the invisible jet, I mean, the only reason you would need that is if she needs to like transport other people, like Steve Trevor or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's tricky.
And it shouldn't be like any type of jet that looks anything like from, the regular world. Like she shouldn't have like a cockpit where she's like flying.
No, yeah.
Like I think it would be cool if like
true.
it looks like very mystical and kind of like it doesn't have to necessarily look like a standard plane. She doesn't have to fly it necessarily like a standard plane.
Yeah.
It could be something
I
completely
always
different.
kind of wish that she like rode Pegasus or something like that, I think because like the cover of her first appearance, she was riding a horse. Just, like a badass,
Sensational
like,
Comics or
battle.
something?
Yeah. And I don't know, I always kind of thought that made more sense than an invisible jet.
What if it's an invisible Pegasus?
that's stupid.
Is there a Greek mythological item that turns you invisible?
The helm of Hades. Yeah.
Helm of Hades. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting. I wonder if they'll incorporate that or something.
I
It should all like everything that she uses should all be.
It shouldn't look like a plane. It should look like some like ancient Greek artifact that flies.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know what that would look like.
I did
like a
I did,
chariot
like,
or something.
Like the scenes where like she's
Roman.
like that we saw on Themyscira, where like she's. It seems like she's not going through trials to like become Wonder Woman. It kind of seems like she's like stealing, artifacts.
Yeah,
and like
the
like
sword
sacred weaponry or something like that,
and the
just,
outfit itself.
Yeah.
I wonder what the story is behind that. I guess we'll have to see.
Yeah. It's gonna be interesting, I think.
Did you like the little stinger at the end where she's like, "How are you supposed to fight in this?" And like the what's her face was like, "Oh, I'll do some fisticuffs now and then."
Yeah, it's cute.
I actually thought that was kind of funny.
Every time
her line delivery was kind of funny. The actress, I don't know.
I guess she's in the British version of the Office. I never saw that, or I saw like one episode of it. But
she played Pam or something.
She has a really good line delivery. Everyone in the theater, when I saw it, and everyone I've seen watch the trailer, just cracks up at that. Like trailer reactions on YouTube and stuff like that.
Yeah,
they always crack up.
Yeah, the people that I saw within the theater too, like I heard a lot of laughs from the crowd.
I think if it was anyone, especially women, women, I think if it was anyone else delivering the line, it wouldn't have been as good. She's just good. She makes it work.
Yeah. So that takes us to the end. Is that it? Do you have anything else to say about it? Do you think this will be the last trailer we get for this?
No, it absolutely won't be. I'm actually surprised that kind of came out. Actually,
movie comes out in March?
Maybe I shouldn't be, because of course they were going to attach something to Doctor Strange. This may not be...
It's not attached to all copies of Doctor Strange.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I've seen Doctor Strange twice now, and it was on one showing and not the other.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
When I saw... when I went to the theater, I saw there's a trailer for Wonder Woman, there's a trailer for Logan, and then what was the other one? I forgot. But just like comparing the two trailers, I still have to admit Logan is the better trailer. Yeah. I don't know if it's just the music or what, but this is a great Wonder Woman trailer too. It definitely sells me on the film. I can't wait for it.
Yeah.
June 2007.
June? Why did I think March?
No.
Jeez, I was way off on that.
What comes out in March? Logan comes out in March.
Logan comes out in
March.
That's what I'm thinking of.
That's right.
Okay, Logan comes out in March.
Yeah. Next year, another great year for films, for superhero films.
Yeah. And I saw a Guardians of the Galaxy preview.
That's right, and Guardians of the Galaxy. That was on there too.
On both times I saw.
I was going to say there were 3 superhero movies. Yeah. Well,
there's more than that, but...
which one got the best reaction? I'm just curious.
Between Wonder Woman, Guardians, and Logan?
Yeah.
Guardians got the best reaction.
Yeah, same here.
So,
even though I think Wonder Woman was a better trailer. I think a lot of people just like cheered once they saw Guardians because they're familiar with it.
You know what's interesting, just to touch real quick on the Guardians preview, I still don't get why they're calling it a sneak peek, because when I saw the teaser in theaters, there was no additional footage.
No.
So it is the teaser. It's not a sneak peek. It's a teaser.
I know.
Call it a teaser.
They don't show the title for that, do they? It just says coming soon.
No, it says Guardians of the Galaxy.
Does it?
Yeah. It does.
Okay.
So, all right. Let's move on.
That's right. It does Guardians of the Galaxy, then shows Rocket, and then says coming soon.
You know what I didn't see
What?
at either of the showings of Doctor Strange was the Batman.
The Batman. Yeah.
The new Lego Batman trailer.
I didn't see it either.
What did you think of that?
I thought it was just as hilarious as Comic-Con. Wonder Woman was just as good, and Lego Batman was just as good. They're doing really good jobs with their trailers.
Well, DC always has done a really good job with their
Well,
trailers.
I mean, I think a few
to
people
their detriment at some points.
I think a few people felt that they kind of dropped the ball with Man of Steel, or not Man of Steel, Batman versus Superman, just with like the Doomsday reveal.
Oh, yeah.
And then like the issue with you thing. So I mean, they don't always nail it, but I think they have yet to put out a bad trailer for either Wonder Woman or Lego Batman. This Lego Batman trailer, it kind of puts the like the first trailers that they released. There were like two of them. One of them was like he comes home and like he's like cooking like food in the microwave and
lips
like,
yeah.
with his lips.
Yeah.
And then there was like another version where he's talking with Alfred, and it's like always be recording.
Oh yeah. Beatboxing.
This one kind of puts the first one, the lonely Batman, into a little bit more context. It makes it a little bit more tragic. Just because like he's like leaving, and then like the announcer's like he's probably going home to have a swell time with friends and
underwear models or activewear models.
Activewear models, yeah. And then he's just like, I'm home, and it echoes. I was like, it looks really good. Like the when they did the exterior shot of Wayne Manor,
yeah,
that looks really cool.
Yeah,
like I hope that
like
is
a freaking
like
castle on a freaking island.
Yeah, I hope like they come out with like that actual like Lego set, because that would be awesome.
That would be nuts.
That would be insane. Robin killed it again. Rip both times.
He did it
Nice. That was funny.
I didn't know that Rosario Dawson was playing Batgirl.
It kind of seems like in the trailer she's just playing Barbara Gordon.
Yeah, because she never actually wears the outfit in the trailer, huh?
Yeah. I noticed they darkened her skin too, which is fine because Rosario Dawson. Did I say her name?
Yeah, Rosario
Dawson. She's ethnic, so that's fine. But I wonder if we're going to see her in the costume.
That would be cool if we did. I think probably by the end, when it seems like she's a police officer in this version of the character.
Well, she's the new Commissioner Gordon, they said.
Oh, really?
In the
what happened to Commissioner Gordon?
Exactly.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, I think by the end of the film, she'll be, part of the Bat family.
For sure. Yeah,
she'll help them all.
She'll be up on the roof with the glasses.
But she'll get her official costume by the end of the film.
Maybe.
Because, I think the whole lesson Batman's going to learn is, he doesn't have to be a loner. He can, work with others.
Well, yeah, they set up his sort of like a struggle, his conflict in the trailer, and that his greatest fear is being a part of a family. So of course in this film he's gonna have to stretch himself to make him because he has this new family, and how is he gonna live with that and not be such a loner.
Yeah, because at the beginning, he doesn't have anything. He doesn't have a family. He doesn't have a greatest enemy. That was probably my favorite part of the trailer.
That was the greatest. I loved it. Cracked up so hard when that was the funniest part of the trailer, I think, with the Joker.
Yeah.
He's like, your greatest enemy. What? Superman's my greatest enemy.
He's like, Superman's not a bad guy.
Superman's not a bad guy.
Like, well,
I wouldn't say I have a bad guy. I'm fighting,
lots of
people at the same time. The Joker's just like sad.
I like his sad face. Does he have fangs? The Joker?
Well, he has pointy teeth.
Pointy teeth.
Yeah,
okay.
I think just to make him look a little bit more villainous.
Yeah.
It's just like a great, because like, in the comics, like the Joker, like,
It's not explicitly stated that it's like a crush or something like that.
But it's not like a romantic one, right. I don't think. But it's definitely like his obsession. So for the fact for him to be like rejected by Batman in this way, makes perfect sense.
It's a nice lighthearted take on that aspect of the Joker's personality.
For sure.
I think.
For sure. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what else.
I didn't like the song "We Built the City."
Oh no, I thought that was a great song. Really? I thought they had the one is the loneliest number. That was another.
That was a
song.
good one. And Black and Yellow, I think, suits this version of Batman pretty well.
Yeah, that was funny when he was just like in his home theater, just like trying to go through all the different inputs. I was like,
trying to find the right one.
Everyone could relate with that. And I also like the fact that they're still incorporating elements from the Lego movie.
The Master Builder stuff.
Master Builders, yeah. He was like, initiate Master Build, so that was cool. And then the whole like, why did you only make one seat? Because last time I checked, I only had one butt. That was hilarious. I like that.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I wonder how Robin is actually going to be of any help to Batman in this, because he seems so
He's just the comic relief. Everyone's the comic relief, I guess. It looks like it's gonna be hilarious. It's gonna be so quotable. I mean, even the trailers themselves are quotable.
Yeah.
I can't wait for it. I forget when that comes out. I don't think that's coming out before Wonder Woman. I could be wrong.
I think it comes out in July.
Oh,
I think.
that makes sense.
Don't quote us on that.
Yeah,
Just look it up.
Just Google it.
You can Google it. It's not coming out anytime soon. You got time. Don't worry, folks. It's not coming out next week or anything. All right. Are you looking it up right now?
yeah. It comes out. Oh, in February. It's gonna be the next movie to come out.
Oh, okay. Well, we were way off.
Way off.
Forget what we just said. Start panicking. It's coming out sooner than you think.
Yeah. So yeah, that's probably the next one we'll review after this. After
this
Doctor
movie.
Strange.
Yeah, there's nothing coming out until.
Expect a lot of battle casts between now and then. Oh, and some previous some reviews of previous films that have come out, like I don't know what's the
Ant-Man, Guardians of the Galaxy,
Watchmen, that kind of stuff.
Blade.
Yeah.
We'll jump around.
Yeah.
All right. I think that does it for that.
Yeah.
Those two trailers.
We'll segue into some Netflix television.
Yeah. Not a whole lot of news here, but it did address one of the questions that I had in the last podcast where I was like, well, if they're filming Punisher right now, does that mean that the Defender show is not going to come out next year? Because we already know Iron Fist and Netflix puts out 2 shows a year. So what they announced was that the Punisher series will be released next year, just like Iron Fist.
But after Defenders.
After the Defenders, yes. Yeah. So there's actually going to be 3 shows of Marvel shows that are going to be released next year,
which is crazy,
as opposed to the 2. Yeah, it's kind of building fast. Like it's weird. The more characters they introduce, and this applies to the movie universe as well. The more characters you introduce, it almost seems like the busier your schedule gets.
Yeah,
like,
the more films.
All
you
of
have
a sudden,
make,
the more films you have to
to
release in a certain year. Because I'm wondering, with the slate as it is right now, we're probably going to get a Doctor Strange sequel, but it's not going to be for a while.
Yeah.
So
not until Phase 4,
right?
Something like that.
And the same
thing.
Which
I have to. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, and the same thing applies to these Defender shows. When are we going to get our next season of Luke Cage or Jessica Jones or Iron Fist? It's not going to. They're going to have to kind of almost start releasing 1 season per character almost. Especially if they start introducing new characters, like say they bring Johnny Blaze, Ghost Rider into the Netflix series,
which they totally could.
Yeah, that throws a wrench in the schedule as well. But anyway, so they're going to be releasing 3 seasons next year. The Defenders season though is only going to be 8 episodes, which I like.
That's great. That's great news.
Yeah, it's going to be only 8 episodes. I think you can definitely fit. I've always said 13 episodes for these seasons is maybe 1 or 2 too many. You could tell the same amount of story and be a little bit more concise about it, and get rid of some of the extraneous stuff that kind of bogs the pace down. So it looks like, I think with 8 episodes, you could have a full-blown pace almost the entire series.
Oh, yeah.
With this many characters. I think it's going to be really cool.
You need to with only 8 episodes.
Right. So I'm excited for that. There were some set photos that were released, and it showed an interaction between Jessica Jones and Misty Knight.
Yeah.
And so that'll be interesting. You couldn't really tell what was going on other than Misty Knight had a gun pointed on her. But it's cool.
Jessica Jones is bulletproof, right?
No, she's not.
Oh, crap.
She's not bulletproof. So yeah, I'm excited. But there was some casting news as far as the next season of Punisher, or the first rather.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it was last week or this past week, where every day of the week they had new casting news for the Defenders. The Defenders. Yeah, and they also announced that a lot of the supporting characters are returning, like Foggy and Karen, and almost everybody's returning. Yeah.
All the supporting characters.
I forgot the name of Jessica Jones's neighbor.
It's the guy with the former addict.
Yeah.
The one who's helping her out now.
He's there.
He got clean.
Everyone's there. Everyone's coming back.
Yeah. Yeah, and that guy was really tragic because it turned out he was only an addict because of the Purple Man, because of Kilgrave,
right,
and everything. So, but they cast Micro. His name is Ebon Moss Backrack. Backrack. I have no idea how to pronounce his name. Backrack.
Like
Yes, there you go, Backrack. I'm gonna call him Backrack. Wow, that's probably, I should have got that from the start. Ebon Moss Backrack.
Who's Micro?
Micro? You don't know who Micro is?
No.
Man, you're such a DC guy. Micro is the Punisher's former like technical helper. Like he's like he supplies him with guns and with technical support, basically help hacking, things like that. He's like the Oracle.
I don't remember him in any of the comics I've read of the Punisher.
Well, how many
like
Punisher comics have you read?
Honestly, it's only been like Welcome Back, Frank.
By the time Garth Ennis came around to the series, Micro was already gone.
Oh.
Or no, he wasn't. No, because he came back in Max. I remember Punisher killed him because he was okay with some cloud damage.
Okay.
So he was in Punisher Warzone. He was played by Wayne Knight. I don't know. You never saw Punisher Warzone, right?
No, I saw Punisher Warzone. Yeah.
So you know who Micro is? Wayne Knight.
I don't remember.
Newman from Seinfeld.
Oh, yeah.
Come on, man.
Okay. Yeah, I know him. That's right.
So, yeah, that was Micro. So, they also cast Jigsaw, or rather, Billy Russo. I don't know if he'll be Jigsaw until, like, the end of that season.
Yeah.
But it's the guy, I don't know, I didn't recognize his name, but I do recognize his face. His name is Ben Barnes.
So he's in...
You know him?
Yeah, he's in Westworld right now.
Is he?
Yeah.
I've only seen
Are you not watching Westworld?
I've only seen one episode, man.
Oh, come on.
I gotta watch the rest. I don't have time.
So good.
I do recognize him from Prince Caspian from the Narnia films.
Yeah.
So he's a good looking dude, you know, which is what Jigsaw's supposed to be. And he's supposed to be like really vain.
That's true. Yeah.
So I think it's a good cast. We'll see if he turns into Jigsaw at any point in the season.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was until the very end, just like knowing Marvel's track record.
With the shows, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, they go at kind of a snail's pace compared to the movies. So that's pretty much it. Yeah, Defenders has already begun filming, and I'm super excited to see that. Honestly.
So if the Defenders ends, the TV show's like Phase 1, what other characters do you think will get their own shows in Phase 2?
I'm hoping for, well, we know Punisher. I guess I'm hoping for Moon Knight, Ghost Rider, and Blade.
Those three?
Yeah. Those three characters, though, have a very kind of supernatural kind of... Because, like, Moon Knight, he first appeared in Werewolf by Night, and one of his bad guys is a werewolf. Blade's bad guys are vampires, and Ghost Rider's, bad guys.
Ghost kind of thing. He's a ghost rider.
Well, yeah, he like demons and stuff. So it would be cool to see if they kind of take away the focus from the street level characters and start going into more supernatural. They need to do that somehow, I think. I think that would be great.
I wonder if like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is like any kind of like test market indicator for, if people want something from Ghost Rider. Because it was recently revealed that Green Arrow had they had the Suicide Squad on his show, and it turns out that they were testing audiences to see if they liked those characters.
For the movie.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
To decide whether they would go forward with the Suicide Squad film.
I don't know if Marvel would go forward with a Ghost Rider film at this point.
No, but a TV show.
Oh, TV show.
A Netflix TV show. That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah. I think they would. I think they will. I think within the next 5 years we'll see a Ghost Rider show. Yeah. But we'll get to Ghost Rider later on.
Let's just get to it now.
So we saw Johnny Blaze in the latest Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. episode. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is kind of on a mid-season break right now, so it's kind of left on a cliffhanger. But it is exciting. It was so good. So it turns out that when Robbie Reyes, who is the version of Ghost Rider that appears in the show right now, when he sold his soul to the devil at his moment of death...
Or who he thought was the devil, yeah.
No. He sold his soul to the devil.
Uh-huh.
And the devil used Ghost Rider as his vessel to transfer the power into him.
Oh. But he confused Ghost Rider for being the devil,
yes.
Right?
Yeah, he thought Ghost Rider was the devil, but Ghost Rider was not the devil. He was just acting on the devil's behalf, and so he showed up at that moment and gave him the power and then drove off. But he also, along the way, he helped his younger brother out of the car because he was in a... So what happened in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and this is spoilers if you have not seen it, but... not so much because it's not super bearing on the plot. You'd have to see it. It's a great show. Robbie Reyes, he goes out to try to win money in a race, and they get attacked by gang members called the Fifth Street Gang. So there's a big chase, and they end up both getting gunned down while they're trying to get away from the gang members, and the car flips, and in the resulting crash, his Robbie Reyes' brother becomes paralyzed, and he feels guilty as Robbie Reyes is thrown from the car, and he feels guilty, and that's when he sells his soul and everything. So Ghost Rider comes along to give him the power, but he also pulls his brother out from the crash.
That's cool.
To save his life.
What a great Easter egg.
It's the greatest Easter egg I think I've ever seen on that show.
Because I know I was like disappointed when I heard it was going to be Robbie Reyes who was going to be Ghost Rider.
I was a little bit too, but Robbie Reyes is a fantastic character. He's probably I wouldn't say he's the best character that has ever been on that show, because I think Grant Ward was a great character, the guy who ended up being a member of Hydra. Mm-hmm. He had a pretty good arc, kind of went all over the place. But Robbie Reyes is a fantastic incarnation of this version of Ghost Rider in this show. It went way better than I thought it was going to go, honestly. And the fact that we saw Johnny Blaze and everything, and we even saw reference to him in a previous episode, where that's where they found the book that kind of the scientists used in an effort to try to create matter and stuff. Anyway, it's if you haven't seen the episodes, it won't make sense to you what I'm saying right now. But if you haven't seen the episodes, now is the perfect time to get caught up during this mid-season break, because they're really good. I'm super happy. Like, I really want a Ghost Rider show now. He's such a badass character, the way they portray him.
That's cool. Just to quickly touch on other cameos, because I'm not caught up on any of the all of the DC shows yet. I'm on episode 3 for each one, but there's been some really great, each show has its own they're not cameos, but like DC broad universe characters. The Ragman is on Arrow now, and so is
I don't know who that is.
You don't know Ragman?
No.
Did you not read Day of Vengeance?
Obviously not.
Okay. Okay.
I don't even know what that is.
You probably wouldn't care about him then. He's sort of he's a Jewish superhero. He's like a Jewish folklore kind of superhero.
Okay.
Anyway, he looks cool. He has a cool aesthetic. But there's also, you have Mr. Terrific. Over on Flash, you have Jesse Quick and Kid Flash. And on Supergirl, you have Mon-El and you have Miss Martian. And then on Legends of Tomorrow...
you have Miss Martian?
Yeah.
In addition to Martian Manhunter?
Yeah.
Cool.
And then on Legends of Tomorrow, now you have Citizen Steel and Vixen and stuff. There's just so many characters. It's huge. It's a huge universe. It's exciting. So I'm glad the TV shows are doing really well.
Yeah. Yeah. This is a great time, not just for movies, but for TV shows. So I guess that does it for that news. I only wanted to touch briefly on it because it wasn't really news, honestly.
Yeah.
But it's just something cool. It was cool to see that kind of Easter egg.
I bet. Yeah.
So
I would totally geeked out.
All right. So back to movie news.
Back to movie news. Rick Famuyiwa has departed The Flash over creative differences, apparently. Which it bothers me, actually.
This is the second director to leave the show. Or the movie.
It's almost the third, because Chris Lord and Phil Miller were originally going
that's right.
to
And they would have been
it.
fantastic.
Yeah, but then they left to do Star Wars, and they wrote the movie. And then Seth Grahame-Smith came on, and he helped write the film as well. And he was also attached to direct, but he left over creative differences, and now Rick Famuyiwa has. I think it's difficult for some directors to work within, a franchise. It's almost like you're not directing a movie. It's almost like you're directing a television show. It's like you sort of have to pick up where another director left off. Mm-hmm. And I think some of the creative choices being decided for you isn't always, a comfortable spot.
Who's making the creative choices at DC, though? Well, do you think he's having creative differences with Jeff Johns?
Maybe Jeff Johns, maybe Zack Snyder, maybe, all the other filmmakers, Mm-hmm. I'm not sure who specifically it is, but, it's unfortunate.
Who do you want to see take up his place?
Shit.
Because I never saw Dope, and so I was trusting that his style was going to match the Flash movie.
Well, a lot of people really liked Dope. They really liked how stylized and stuff it was.
Yeah.
It was a good young voice, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Why not Tim Miller? He's not doing anything right now.
Well, he's doing the Sonic the Hedgehog film.
Well, he's only producing that, though. And it makes sense. I mean, if he's doing Sonic the Hedgehog, why
do another
not?
speedster.
You do another speedster, exactly.
I'd like to see. Okay, this will never happen, but I'd like to see Edgar Wright do the Flash film.
I don't think Edgar Wright could do a franchise just because his voice is so unique. I think it'd be really difficult for him.
I know there were a lot of comparisons drawn between Dope and Scott Pilgrim
Oh, really?
versus the World. So
Yeah, that makes sense. Like, even the trailer for Dope was pretty, like, Scott Pilgrim-y.
yeah, so like I'm just thinking, like, you know, if the Dope director leaves, you know, replace him with, and I don't think either of their directors are actually replaceable, but I know I'm more familiar with Edgar Wright's work, and I think he would do a fantastic job.
I have a feeling that if you hired Edgar Wright, he would leave over creative differences.
Possibly.
Just because I think DC is trying to create their own brand, just like Marvel. So it's, which, I mean, and even then, like, I wouldn't say, like, Wonder Woman so far looks like it could have also been directed by Zack Snyder, but I wouldn't say the same thing about Suicide Squad. So maybe there is a little bit of leeway in the DC universe for, like, different styles, different visions, because that currently doesn't exist in Marvel. And we'll talk about this later, but, like, in
They're all
Doctor
pretty much the same
Strange, like,
style.
I didn't see any of Scott Derrickson in that.
Yeah.
So they're interchangeable, and I think some directors don't like the idea of them being interchangeable. They don't want to do someone else's vision for a film. They want to do their vision.
Right.
So I don't know. Some people have also been saying Joss Whedon,
Oh, he would do a fantastic Flash.
but I didn't really care for his, like, depiction of Speed with Quicksilver.
He would do it. He would do it in a different way. I liked his depiction. I thought it was much better than the X-Men's depiction,
Oh, really?
just because it was more accurate to the character. Like,
True.
Quicksilver is not that fast. Not you know, X-Men Apocalypse fast. That was super fast.
You know who else I would want? If not
Bryan
Tim
Singer?
Miller? No, not Bryan Singer. If not Tim Miller, why not Kevin Smith? He's directed, like, 2 episodes of The Flash now, or he's directing his second one, like, now, or something like that.
Oh, really?
And the first one he did was really good. The way the Speed Force was depicted, so badass.
That would be great.
It looked really cool. I would get behind that for sure.
Yeah, get
I'm
Kevin
not.
Smith.
I know there's a lot of Kevin Smith haters out there, but I haven't seen Tusk or his Yoga Hosers film yet.
Well, the Flash movie doesn't come out until 2018, I want to say. Is that right?
It might get delayed because of this, so who knows when it's going to come out.
Okay. I was going to say, like, they have time. I do hope we get a new
they
like,
do have a little
not
bit
casting
of time.
announcement, but director announcement soon, I think.
Yeah, I don't know when it was supposed to start
Before the end of
filming.
the year.
I don't think. I think they have plenty of time to not plenty of time. I mean, they definitely have to hurry, but I think they could get a new director soon.
Yeah, and get that announced. That would be... I always like director news. I think I'm a little bit more interested in that than actually casting news, but...
Yeah, and then Tim Miller has also directed The Flash. He did it.
He did?
He directed not the Flash TV show,
Oh,
but the
Injustice or
character
something?
in what was it? The DC Universe online multiplayer game.
Oh, did he direct those cutscenes?
There were cutscenes that he directed.
All right.
So that was cool.
I could get on board with that. Yeah, get Tim Miller on the project.
Tim Miller and Kevin Smith, please, good gosh, please.
One of those two. We'll be happy with. So, I guess, speaking of announcements, casting announcements, Steppenwolf was cast.
I don't know how to pronounce his name.
Ciaran Hinds.
Ciaran Hinds?
Yeah.
Okay. Ciaran Hinds has been cast as Steppenwolf. Which is apparently, like, he's already done filming. It was a motion capture thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we're actually going to see his face in it.
Interesting.
Apparently, the character has gone through a slight redesign from what we saw in the extended version, the ultimate version of Batman vs Superman. Mm-hmm. So
I liked that version.
yeah, badass version for sure.
See, when I first heard that news, I was like, because I hated his version of Mephisto or the devil.
What do they call him, Mephisto or Mephistopheles in the second Ghost Rider?
They didn't. They just called him the devil.
Oh, that's stupid.
Yeah, they didn't call him Mephisto. I'm not even sure if he played the same quote devil as Peter Fonda, because like I'm pretty sure it's the same Johnny Blaze character, but the way they portrayed, I don't know if you saw Spirit of Vengeance.
No.
The way they portray his origin is different. So it was almost like a reboot sequel. It was like a requel
With the same actor?
with the same actor.
That's interesting.
Yeah. But I did not care for his portrayal of the devil at all. It was Peter Fonda, for as small as his role was in Ghost Rider, did a way better job in the first Ghost Rider film.
So I think the only film I've really seen him as a villain, it was like the second Laura Croft film, and I thought that was freaking terrible. But I did like him in Game of Thrones.
Oh, really?
I thought he was a really good character in Game of Thrones, really good actor. So I know I don't hate this. I think he looks the part. Honestly, if you said that he was cast as Darkseid, I would have been happy with that too. I mean,
Yeah, he'd make a fine Darkseid.
he just has like the presence, I feel.
Yeah.
Like he may not have like maybe it's just like a character hasn't been written well enough for him.
I think
because I think he's a solid actor.
I think he'd make a better Darkseid than a Steppenwolf, because the way I'm picturing Steppenwolf, like as played by Ciaran Hinds, is very much a Darkseid-ish character. Like, what are you going to bring to? How are you going to differentiate Darkseid's persona? How are you going to differ that from Steppenwolf? Like,
Steppenwolf.
because I imagine Steppenwolf would have been a much more physical.
He is a much more
threat.
like Darkseid is a much more like brooding kind of like he doesn't fight with his fists, he fights with his eyes kind of thing.
Right.
You know, his powers. Although he does throw punches and stuff like that, but Steppenwolf to me, you know, he has a sword. He's a much more physical character, and I don't really see
Ciaran Hinds is not like a huge physical actor.
He's older.
He's older. So I don't know. It's just confusing to me. That whole.
Although honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a picture of him on the internet the next day with the 6-pack, because apparently everyone in his Zack Snyder film gets a 6-pack.
What if this is all red herring and it turns out Steppenwolf was not the bad guy? And
Steppenwolf is the bad guy.
And it is Darkseid. They've lied before, haven't they? I feel like they have.
Well, the guy at the end of Batman vs Superman was in Darkseid.
Yeah, but he was an emissary of Darkseid.
So you think they're pulling a Doctor Strange where like, oh, the villain is Caecilius?
Yeah, when it kind of turned out that the main villain was Dormammu.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
Shit.
This whole thing is spoiler alert. Don't forget, all of our reviews are spoilers. Do not listen to this review if you haven't seen Doctor Strange.
I don't think they're going to do that.
All right.
I think it's Steppenwolf.
That's my theory. Just
that doesn't mean I don't think...
Note the time and date, because that's what I think.
That doesn't mean I don't think Darkseid will have a presence in the Justice League film, because I think he will. But yeah, if you cast Ciaran Hinds as Steppenwolf, who do you cast as Darkseid?
Exactly. Well,
Because who has more like a regal presence?
Steppenwolf is Darkseid's uncle?
Yes.
Okay, so you could cast someone younger for Darkseid, I guess.
Yeah.
But it makes me think that Darkseid is maybe just going to be, like, it's going to swap, where maybe Darkseid is maybe the more physical character, and Steppenwolf was the more brooding one.
I hope not. No, I don't think they would do that.
We'll see. Especially if Thanos is not as physical a threat in the Infinity War movies. Mm-hmm. If he's kind of more brooding and kind of just lets his gauntlet do his fighting for him, then you might see a more physical Darkseid, I think, just to differentiate. That's my theory, and I'm sticking to it.
I don't know.
That's our new segment in the DC Marvel Battlecast. That's my theory, and I'm sticking to it.
We'll see. Some of our theories, I've been surprised, like since we started this, have actually been accurate.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
All right. I think that does it for all the news, folks. So let's go ahead and get into the Doctor Strange review. Hopefully you've seen it. If you haven't, just stop listening because you don't want to listen.
Turn it off.
Yeah, turn it off. Go see the film. Come back. But otherwise, we're going to start now. Okay, so Doctor Strange review. I've been looking forward to this movie a lot. I typically tend to look forward more to movies that involve characters that have not been portrayed on the screen before. Mm-hmm. I really liked this film a lot. My initial reaction walking out of the theater, I think overall, was that there was something missing, but I was still happy with it. I was still entertained.
You weren't completely satisfied?
I wasn't completely satisfied, but I was satisfied. It was like eating my second favorite meal. Like, I like my second favorite meal. It's like, it's damn good food, and I'm happy with it, but it's not my favorite meal. But, like, I don't know if that's kind of a weird analogy, but that's why I didn't get, 5 stars. And what I do rate it, we'll say at the end. But I did enjoy the film. And that's it for the review.
Yeah, so I walked out of the film also unsatisfied. But I don't think that means it was a bad movie. I think a lot of it just had to do with the story of the film.
Yeah, I would agree. Like objectively, I think it's a quality film. Like everything's on point. Like the music and the visuals and the acting and everything, but the story is a little formulaic, which like you wouldn't quite expect for a Doctor Strange movie, because
you'd expect for a Marvel film.
But the Doctor Strange comics are so unlike anything else in the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
But here, like, despite the introduction of like magical themes into the universe, like we pretty much got a stock origin story.
It was very by the numbers, which I mean I've come to expect anytime there's like a new Marvel film coming out with that showing like an original character. I expect it to be by the numbers, which kind of pisses me off in a way that it was. Critics love it, yet they hated something like Constantine. I feel like if this wasn't a Marvel film, if it was just an original work, would people like it as much? Or is it just because it exists within this universe and it's so much more fun because of that?
I think that's a fair question. I don't think this film is anything like Constantine, though.
Constantine was labeled as generic. It was labeled as because just stemming off of The Matrix, people felt like they had seen it before.
Maybe. See, here's the thing. Like, the story for Doctor Strange was nothing groundbreaking. It didn't advance the genre in any way, but it was not bad. It was good.
Yeah.
I think it was actually better than the Constantine narrative. So I think that's where you have critics siding with this, and the visuals were certainly better as well.
I think the Constantine narrative, maybe just because
I think it was more archetypical, and therefore it attracted more people.
Oh, Doctor Strange?
Yes.
Yeah, you're probably right. But in the same way that, like, I guess Star Wars is so beloved.
Right.
It's because it's so...
Well, at least the latest one.
Well, no, I mean, referring to the first one.
Oh.
A New Hope. Just because it was so, like, hero's journey kind of thing.
Yeah.
Or Avatar or something like that. I don't know.
I would have liked to...
It's slightly disappointing, but I don't know. I think this was a quality film. It felt short to me.
It was a short film. It's the running time is 1 hour and 55 minutes.
Yeah, but I think a lot of that has to do with like there was like no single scene was wasted. Like
right.
It was really well plotted out. And like
efficiently so.
Yeah, really super efficient. Like even like halfway through the film, maybe even a little bit before, when he goes to the Eye of Agamotto and he starts like tinkering with that.
We've been pronouncing it wrong this whole time. It's not the Eye of Agamotto.
Agamotto.
It's Agamotto.
when he does that with the Eye of Agamotto, like from that moment to the almost practically to the end of the film, like it all takes place in like real time. Like you're following Stephen Strange throughout, like all the way to the end of the film.
There's a few spots where that's not entirely true, but for the most part, I would agree.
I think it was efficiently plotted, but also like because of something like that, where like it does follow him so tightly across like a short span of time. You didn't get as much I didn't get as much character development as I wanted. You never saw him like fully become the Sorcerer Supreme.
Not until the very end.
Not even at the very end. He was never like specifically given that label, that title. So I kind of felt like, oh man, like this film didn't like really like establish the character as we know him from the comics. Like he still has a little bit more growing to do.
Yeah, just a little bit.
It was like a fun ride, but like I didn't really feel like any catharsis again, because like to me it didn't deliver on like that promise that was initially set up to like heal Strange's spirit. When like he first meets the Sorcerer Supreme, he's like, oh, you can rebuild cells. How do you do it? What's the scientific method? And she's like, oh, we heal your spirit. And then he gets all pissed off. Like that was the promise setup of the film, that like she was going to heal his spirit, but like he was still kind of like an arrogant prick all the way to the end. That's
not true. In what way?
Even with like Thor, the way he was just like his demeanor with Thor, the way his demeanor with the Sorcerer Supreme, disrespectful and stuff like that. So, Yeah, he's.
No, I don't get that. No, because the lesson that he learned was he was like he wasn't getting his spirit healed. The lesson that he learned was that it's not about him.
Which was such like an anticlimactic lesson to learn. Like I hear that from my mom and from my wife. It's like any girlfriend can give you that lesson. It's not some profound truth.
For him, it was, and it is a lesson that he did learn. And in the end, he ended up performing like one of the ultimate selfless acts, where he was willing to sacrifice himself over and over again for all eternity, so that humanity would survive.
But see, to me, part of like it's not all about you would have like made me think that he would have been more open to like letting other people help him. But at the very end, like he defeated Dormammu all on his own. Like you didn't need Mordo or
it's not
or
about
Wong.
having other people help you. It's about thinking of others' needs, basically, and that's what he did in that final.
But he was also helping
confrontation.
himself.
Not necessarily like. Well, I mean, to what extent can you? It was still a selfless act.
Yeah.
He was willing to do that for all eternity. He was sacrificing himself. What act is more selfless than sacrifice?
Well, I'm just kind of thinking like I'm trying to think of a good example where like you sacrifice to yourself, you don't expect to come back from it. Like Iron Man at the end of Avengers, like maybe he didn't expect once he went to the hole to detonate the nuke. Like he may not have expected that the nuke was going to blast him back. You didn't really get that. He came to bargain with Dormammu. He knew he was getting out of this. So I mean, it was clever.
Not necessarily.
Super clever.
He said he was prepared to do it forever.
Well, he knew that wasn't going to happen.
We don't even know how long he was there for. He could have been there for centuries.
Yeah, that's true. But
in the dark dimension,
ultimately, like
it was a selfless act.
It was clever.
He learned his lesson.
It was clever, but it was in no way.
And he grew as a character.
He was a static character.
No.
He was, which I mean is fine for a superhero film because you look at a character like Superman and he gets away with it. But
watch the film again, see how he acts at the beginning of the film, and then tell me that he didn't grow as a character.
He was still being an arrogant prick to like Thor, and
he wasn't being an arrogant prick
even after his training.
To Thor.
It didn't show him grow as far as I wanted it to show him grow as a sorcerer.
I disagree. I think it showed him grow. I think by the end of the film, he was a very different character than he was at the beginning.
Was he a powerful sorcerer by the end of the film?
He was powerful enough to, defeat Cassilius's coup.
With the Eye of Agamotto.
Yeah, with the Eye of Agamotto, which a lot of sorcerers weren't able to even know how to use.
Because they didn't read that page in the book.
Not just that, it was just Mordo said that those pages are too far advanced for anyone but Sorcerer Supreme.
Well, I think they explained it just because of the fact that he has a photographic memory, and how they were touching on that earlier in the film with like his
They explicitly said you have talents in the mystic arts, and that's why he was able to do it.
Yeah,
he said it was
such a cop
he said it's not just a photographic memory. It would not allow you to just a photographic memory would not allow you to do that.
That's
you
true.
have innate ability.
He said that. Yeah.
So anyway, so I think so. Going back to overall, I think story is passable. It's not as deep as I was personally led to believe from the marketing, but I think like everything else, the visuals, the acting, the amount of humor
the visuals,
was all top notch.
The visuals are really like what would make me recommend this film to someone else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I would have liked to have seen it a little bit darker. Like again, like you said, you saw a little of Scarlett Derrickson's work here, and like I saw The Exorcism of Emily Rose, and I saw Sinister, and I was expecting something a little bit more dark and visceral. It's not what I got. It's what I would have liked. I think that's what he's going to go for in the sequel, according to what he was quoted as saying that. Mm-hmm. So that I'm looking forward to.
This is, I mean, it's only been out for a few days, but it's I don't know if it's broken the November record, but I think it has like second place. So I think it's going to do well.
Yeah, it's projected to make 80-ish million.
It's 84.9, but I think
in the U.S.
Yeah, I think Thor: The Dark World has like 85.7 or something million.
So, yeah, it's going to go around there, but I think it's going to have longer legs than Thor: The Dark World, just because it has an A cinema score. It's doing well by critics, and it's a good film. So I think it's better than Thor: The Dark World. So. So I noticed the themes, personal growth, kind of similar to what Iron Man and Thor were, where they start off kind of arrogant and then they get humbled and then they go, they grow from there. But let's go ahead and walk our way through the story. Yeah,
sure.
All right, so the opening scene is where Caecilius kills the librarian and then fights with the Ancient One in London.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool. Like, the first time I saw that, it was a little bit hard to make out exactly how she was warping the buildings and space and everything like that. But like the second time I saw it, like I knew what I was watching was like just something brilliant, because I'd catch flashes of like the way she would manipulate the architecture to like swallow one of the zealots as she was fighting and everything. I thought the choreography was amazing.
Did you watch it in 3D?
I did watch it in 3D.
How was that?
It actually was easier to understand what was going on in that scene in 3D.
Really?
Which I did not expect. And let me tell you why. Okay, so I saw it once. The first time I saw it was in non 3D, and it was kind of hard for my brain to kind of comprehend what was going on at some points, because there was so many moving parts, so much going on. I likened it to kind of like the Transformers movies, where like, it's kind of like hard to like you kind of go cross-eyed trying to make out the visual effects, because there's so many moving parts and it's kind of hard to make out exactly what's happening.
Your brain just kind of accepts it.
Your brain just kind of accepts it, yeah. And there was a little bit of that, especially in this first scene where I was like, oh, what? My eyes kept kind of like darting back and forth trying to catch everything that was happening. But in 3D, it made everything less flat, which actually helped you get a sense of exactly what was happening. Like off in the distance, you see these buildings like folding in towards them and everything like that. When a hole would open up, it would be more apparent that it was a hole, you know? Mm-hmm. So to that end, like I enjoyed that scene much more in 3D. And I think if you haven't seen it in 3D, I think you should, because there are some parts where I haven't seen 3D that good or that impressive since Avatar. Like, there was the one scene where near the end where they were fighting in New York, and Caecilius pushes him off a building. He like kind of throws him off with a wave of the building, and so they're falling. But then all of a sudden, like they kind of like the perspective stretches out, so it looks like they're falling much further. Kind of. That part was incredible. It like stretched my mind or my eyeballs. Kind of.
Is
like,
that only
whoa.
something that you would have noticed in 3D?
I think the effect was greater in 3D. I mean, like it was cool, just in regular 2D and everything, but like just the depth of field, how that worked in 3D. Like the flying building parts and everything were okay in 3D, but the big thing was like that depth of field in some of those scenes. And there in 3D there were a lot more sparks in the film than I realized. Like between the like the magical, like the sling ring, the portals, and
like the finger whip thing.
Yeah, and the weapons that they would create, and like the mandalas that they like the Ancient One would create, and stuff, just like sparks everywhere. That was pretty cool.
So the opening sequence, I was totally sold on the Ancient One, because like this whole time, like I didn't really. Okay, I'm not sold on Tilda Swinton still. I think it could have been done by an Asian man, but the way they like depicted her like magic style. She was just such a badass.
She was a badass.
With like her hood, and like she was turning her like mandalas, her sigils into like fans and battling with those. That was so cool. I was like, oh shit, this is like a kung fu film with magic.
Actually, Tilda Swinton is one of my favorite parts of this movie. I was totally sold on her, because I think one of the great contrast in her character is how much of a badass she is, and yet how like lighthearted she also is. And gentle, yeah. She's gentle, lighthearted. Like I think Mordo actually explained it at one scene in the movie where she's like she's unforgiving but also merciful. Kind of like there's a nice contrast to the character. Not unforgiving. That's not the word he used. I forgot what word he used. He was like harsh but like merciful, I guess. So like you have like scenes where she's freaking strands him on Mount Everest. Which I think was probably the most hilarious scene of the movie. And so it's like tough love and everything, but like that. But it's played very lighthearted, and you kind of see that she's like, maybe I shouldn't have done that. Or like when she like freaking like blows his mind and like his heart's racing and everything like that, and she brings him back and she quips, "Have you seen that in a gift shop?" Things like that. I loved her character. It was very.
The character was good, but you don't think an Asian man could have pulled it off?
Not in the way that Tilda Swinton did. I don't think. There's kind of like an adorable cuteness about her, and I kind of felt that way about her and Constantine, her Gabriel character too. When like she gets like punched, and she's like, oh, and he's like, that's called pain. Get used to it and everything. She's like, you could have shot me, John. Like she can be very tough and like I don't know, kind of a badass, but she can also be very whimsical, I guess, and that's exactly what the Ancient One did. I don't think anybody else can carry that kind of toughness and whimsy in the same form as she can.
I think you're describing her really well, and I would agree. But I think an Asian actor could have pulled that off as well.
Okay. So yeah, that scene was pretty cool. Then we see Dr. Stephen Strange operating. We see him for the first time. I had a few friends tell me that he reminded them a lot of House, the character. I forget. It's from the show House MD.
Yeah, what's his name? I forget.
Yeah, Dr. House.
The British guy who plays an American.
They kind of reminded him, or he kind of reminded them of that character. Just kind of arrogant. It was cool. I don't know. They almost showed like his like arrogance and ego and but skill in kind of a roundabout way by like kind of showing off his photographic memory and how like he just knew all this random information and was able to like spout it off at the same time simultaneously, multitasking as he's focusing on fixing someone's brain or whatever he was fixing. I don't know what he was fixing, but his arrogance was not truly like, I just got the impression that he was just like a really skilled person and he knew it. It didn't necessarily come off as like asshole-ish as it should have been, I thought in my mind. Like I didn't see like the true like asshole part of him until that sounded weird. But until
I didn't see his asshole until
I didn't see that he was a jerk until like after the car accident. And that's when the kind of like asshole nature of him.
Well, I kind of saw it like I thought when he was driving and looking at his phone, I was like, "What?" And just like driving through the mountain side all recklessly.
That's kind of shorthand for this guy's an asshole. Yeah. When you look at your phone, you're speeding.
Yeah, through the mountainside, cutting people, like going around people, and I thought that was like a
well, like even when he was talking to Nicodemus West, the rival surgeon guy, like. He kind of had a right to be kind of like a dick toward that guy because the guy was about to, like harvest this guy's organs and he wasn't
still alive.
Being a good doctor basically. So I was like, oh, like that could be
the
rationalized.
bullet was coated in like a poison?
Oh, I still didn't understand it the second time I saw it.
Okay.
All I know is that he wasn't
what it sounded like. But like
his heart was still beating and everything, but they declared him brain dead. So so they were ready to.
And only Stephen was able to extract it. But no, like I didn't expect his car to crash that soon in the film.
Nor did
I.
I
didn't think it was going to happen that fast. I thought we were going to get more of him being a dick before he hit the accident. Like I thought he was going to go to the
speaking engagement
thing and then like get drunk and then like piss someone off and then drive home drunk or something like that.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
But no, it was just him looking at his phone. Yeah.
Did you catch the Easter egg about when they were naming the guy was naming the medical cases that he could take, and he mentioned the guy in the armor with the broken spine?
Yeah.
I think that was the Easter egg to Rhodey.
Yeah.
War Machine.
But I've also heard that it wasn't. The director said it wasn't. Because then that screws up their Marvel timeline. I think it was originally supposed to be that, but then they're like, oh shit, we're going to have the next film like take place pretty much like closer to the end of Civil War. So,
oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
So that's weird.
Maybe it was one of Justin Hammer's guys or something. Or just anybody, I guess, experimenting with armor.
Yeah. It could be that like... Well, yeah, that was the other...
Well, like, we don't know exactly how long Doctor Strange was in Kamar-Taj.
Exactly,
so.
But if that was Rhodes, then that was a really short time.
Oh, okay.
And that upsets me.
So we want it to be longer.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll say it was around the time of Iron Man 2 then, I guess. When that one guy... Remember when Justin Hammer's...
body twisted?
Yeah, but the body
but
twisted.
That was in North Korea, though, wasn't it?
No, that was Hammer Tech.
But what country... Are you sure?
Yes.
Huh.
I'm positive. So yeah, it did happen. The whole crash scene did happen sooner in the movie. Like when I saw it like happening when he like spun out, it kind of came out of nowhere. I was like, wait, no, too soon. You got to like build him. You got to show him as an asshole a little bit more first. Mm-hmm. And but yeah, and the crash was so violent and like huge. He like went freaking just flying off that cliff and like. I don't even know how he survived that thing.
Yeah, how did he survive that?
Like, they could have gotten away with it with just, like, him slamming into something and it crushing his hands.
Yeah.
But, like, they went all out. Like, they showed this crash that was, like, to me, unsurvivable. I'm surprised it was just his hands that were that badly damaged. I'm surprised he was able to walk and stuff.
Right.
But, yeah. It's after that he really kind of shows his asshole nature, I think, to the physical therapist.
Not only that, but to Christine Palmer.
Oh yeah, that was a pretty good scene where she comes to his apartment.
Yeah,
trying to be nice.
I kind of feel bad for Rachel McAdams. This was not a bad character, but it was just like we didn't see enough of her. I thought like there wasn't enough to establish like a real like emotional connection.
Yeah.
I know she was hesitant to take the role initially, but I mean, if it was any other actress, I think it would have been an even more difficult emotional connection with the audience. I think they needed a superstar in that role.
She was a fantastic actress. I think her best line delivery was when she said "thank you" to him when he was pulling the bullet out of the guy's brain. I noticed it the first time, and I noticed it even more the second time. She's just a good actress. But yeah, her role was smaller than I expected. I did think it was funny how he had to keep going back to her, like the plot kept necessitating. And she kind of fulfilled the role of the night nurse, which is who Christine Palmer is.
I'm just glad she wasn't a damsel in distress.
Yeah, that was cool. She was kind of a hero. Like, and at the very end, like, he was trying... at the last scene that they have together, and this is jumping ahead, but he basically is kind of telling her that he has to go save lives in this different way, in this weirder way, or whatever she calls it. But at the same time, she's also being called by the ER, saying, "We need you," and she needs to go save lives as well. So she's kind of a hero in her own right. Just like, most or all surgeons are, all doctors. Kudos to all the doctors and police officers and firefighters out there. You guys are the true heroes.
Oh my gosh.
No, but it made me think that. I was like, yeah, look, real life superhero right there. She's not, fighting magic, but essentially they're forming the same function. So I thought that was pretty cool because she was like a hero in her own right. But anyway, so he yells at her. I thought that was a pretty powerful scene. I thought like the part that I hated him the most, and I don't know why, but I think it was when he called the physical therapist bachelor's degree. And he was like, but then the guy was like, well, if it proves your arrogant ass wrong, worth it.
Well,
he pulls a file.
I read an Easter egg with that character. I guess the physical therapist is the brother of Brother Voodoo.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I guess Brother Voodoo summons like the spirit because he dies. And then I guess Brother Voodoo summons the spirit of his dead brother a lot in his magic. I read that somewhere.
I'll have to look up the character's name in the credits.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's pretty cool because Brother Voodoo becomes the Sorcerer Supreme after.
That's right. I remember you telling me that earlier.
Yeah. Interesting. Cool. I didn't know that. I like learning new things.
I wonder if they're setting him up to be like the new Doctor Strange sidekick in the next film or something like that.
Yeah, maybe. Speaking of small roles, Benjamin Bratt had a super small role in this.
Yeah, there's quite a few small roles, including Caecilius, I think. But going back to Benjamin Bratt.
Yeah, his role was... I thought he was going to have a larger role. I thought he did well in what he was given, at least in the end scene. He didn't really have much to do in the scene at the basketball court.
Yeah.
But at the end, in the second after credits scene, I thought that's pretty good. But anyway, so like he basically directs him to go to Nepal.
Yeah. I think it's always interesting to see like these big name actors and like these smaller roles. You almost wonder like how they negotiate for them, because I think one of the real perks of being in a Marvel film is that it's like a steady gig once you get it. But something like this small, I wonder if he's going to be in the next film. I wonder if,
Probably not.
If he was killed. Do you think he was killed? Or do you think his magic was just taken from him?
I'm pretty sure he was killed by Baron Mordo at the end.
So I wonder why Benjamin Bratt then?
I don't know. That's a really good question.
Maybe he was just attracted to the cast. Because this is a stellar cast. Like, I can't think of another film, like, this year even, that had such, like, a big name cast.
Yeah.
Like, they're all phenomenal actors.
Yeah.
Well, no, not even with Civil War.
Yeah, I guess this cast is more esteemed. Like, you have a lot, like Tilda Swinton and especially...
They're all, like, highly respected actors.
Yeah. All Oscar winners, basically. It's like... Except for Mads Mikkelsen, but that dude's just fantastic.
Yeah.
In his own right. So, but yeah, I guess just to add some caliber to the cast, maybe he knows
Scott Derrickson.
Scott Derrickson. Well, I don't know why I wanted to say Steve Derrickson. Scott Derrickson.
That's true, yeah.
But, so anyway, he goes to Nepal. He spends lots of his money and goes to Nepal, where he gets beat up, and we first see Mordo for the first time.
Yeah.
Gotta say, alongside Tilda Swinton, I loved Chiwetel Ejiofor's role in this. His portrayal, I
He had a really good arc.
Yeah.
Like, you totally understood, like, how the events of this film turned him into a bad guy.
Yeah, but like just like he's such a good actor. Like I've usually seen him play like the nice guy and things like that, but he played like this rigid character like so well. Like the way his face kind of just contorts, or like he hears news that he might possibly be betrayed, or like that things aren't necessarily as black and white as he thinks they are. Just his portrayal, I think he sells it so well. I'm really glad he was cast as Mordo, because I would be willing to bet that in the initial draft of this movie that Caecilius' character was actually Baron Mordo, because it fits his arc in the comics to a T, where
Really?
he's a student of the Ancient One and ends up serving Dormammu in secret because he is disillusioned by the Ancient One and then tries to kill the Ancient One. That's totally Baron Mordo's arc. Yeah. And it ended up being Caecilius in this. I think that's because I think Marvel wants obviously to build Baron Mordo as not just a one-off bad guy. Because Doctor Strange, I think Baron Mordo and Dormammu, I think, and the mindless ones are his greatest enemies. But I think it's to their benefit, since one of the criticisms against the Marvel Universe is that they don't have a lot of like great villains in their movies besides Loki. It's
almost like they're like they sacrificed, because I wouldn't say Caecilius. I would say Caecilius is another forgettable villain. Yeah. But it's almost like they sacrificed that just to establish Mordo as this like more three-dimensional character. Yeah. You're more invested in him. Mm-hmm. Because like I was saying earlier with Benjamin Bratt, not to skip ahead of the movie or anything, but he doesn't play, like, he's not in the film that much, Caecilius. He's in the opening scene, and then, except for like another brief moment where he's like doing the ritual, like we don't see too much of him until, like, again, the film goes into like it's really going by really efficiently, mm-hmm. and you see him in the what's the name of the house? Gosh dang it.
The Sanctum Sanctorum?
Sanctum Sanctorum, yeah. So, not too much development on the character there. Although you understand his motivation, you don't...
He doesn't develop as a character.
Exactly, so,
yeah. Actually, speaking about Ejiofor's performance, we haven't really discussed Cumberbatch's performance. And most of like his whole a lot of his arc actually takes place within the first half of the film, and afterwards it's kind of a little bit one note. But I think he did such a fantastic job. I remember some of the other actors in the running. Like I remember for some reason, and I don't know why now, I really wanted Keanu Reeves in the role.
What?
I didn't want Joaquin Phoenix in the role. Like I remember it was down to him and
Joaquin?
Joaquin and it was down to him and Keanu Reeves, and I think Ethan Hawke was also in the running. And I was like, I think Ethan Hawke would be great, but I would like to see Keanu Reeves. I'm really glad that Benedict Cumberbatch was cast in this role. He did a great job of playing arrogant and humble and intelligent and slightly humorous. I remember what were you
I think
say?
His joke specifically fell flat. I think other people's worked, but like the whole Beyonce thing and stuff like that, I was like, eh.
Yeah, that one was just horrible. There were a few jokes that did fall flat, yeah, and that was definitely one of them. And also the Mr. Doctor thing, I think, kind of fell kind of flat.
Yeah,
but I remember some people were saying that. According to the 15-minute screening that was played before this movie came out, that this character was very Tony Stark, and that he acts just like Tony Stark, and he's going to replace Tony Stark when Robert Downey Jr. quits. Mm-hmm. And I was really afraid of that because I didn't want just another Tony Stark / Star-Lord,
just like character. The arrogant and charismatic guy.
Yeah,
in that sense.
I don't think that this was that. I think Tony Stark and like Star-Lord and they're very eccentric. I wouldn't call Stephen Strange eccentric. Like, and yeah, he has a sense of humor, but it's not like always there. And I also think his sense of humor is a little bit more highbrow. It's a little bit more dry, and it's a little bit more
think it's there at all.
Honestly. Yeah, it might not even be there, honestly. But like he does make a few jokes, but I could imagine Stephen Strange making a joke like, you're not playing hide the zucchini, are you?
Right.
So I think Tony Stark he's an eccentric intellect, but also kind of childish in a way that Stephen Strange is not. And I appreciate that because he's certainly not childish in the comics.
Yeah, I thought his performance was good. I wouldn't say like, oh, he was born for this role in the same way I would say like Robert Downey Jr. was like born to play Tony Stark because it's just such a perfect fit. Mm-hmm. But I mean, there's nothing negative about it either, except for maybe like the joke delivery. I'm not. I mean, and it's not every character.
And I think that was more a writing thing. I don't know if anybody could have sold
like
that.
Dan Harmon, like they would have gone nailed it a little bit better.
I don't think Dan Harmon wrote that joke.
He better not have.
I don't think anybody could have sold the whole Eminem,
Adele. Yeah.
Aristotle. I don't think anybody could have sold that. But I liked his accent. I always, like, from the trailers, I was like, whoa, that voice is a little weird. But it was never a problem during the course of the movie.
Yeah, never a problem.
Yeah. He's good. Anyway, all right, back to the plot. So he begins his training, and we have that scene where he's in the presence of the Ancient One for the first time. And you have that first... she bumps him into the astral plane. Yeah,
because he gets all pissed off and, like an idiot, tries to poke her in the chest. Who does that? Don't do that.
Yeah, that was pretty cool and then she pulls him back in, and then she like sends him on that mind bending journey. What did you think of that?
Yeah, it was cool. It was visually interesting. I mean, it was kind of nightmarish in some sequences, with like the whole hand thing. That was weird.
Oh, where the fingers grew hands.
Yeah, and those fingers grew hands and stuff like that.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden they came, and like there was a weird part right there where he went into his own eyeball.
Yeah, like when
that was pretty cool.
When they were explaining the multiverse, like from my experience of the DC version of the multiverse, other dimensions are not that weird. Other dimensions are almost indistinguishable from our own. Mm-hmm. Some are more different than others, but they're not like really crazy nightmares.
Yeah, I thought the dark dimension was actually quite beautiful looking. It was like actually kind of cool. Like it wasn't nearly as scary as maybe I thought it would have been.
No, and same goes for Dormammu. I feel like.
Really? Yeah, that's true. Dormammu, like if he would have been like like a faceless, fiery headed dude.
I didn't expect to see his eyes. Like I thought, because like in the comic when he's like depicted as like this like head on fire, and like his eyes are just like holes with like yellow flame, and same with his mouth. I thought
his face is fire, basically.
Yeah, I thought it was gonna be more like that, and I thought like you could have done something really visually cool, where like he has no eyes; they're just like these flaming like holes or something.
And they're typically depicted in the comics with like a lot of vertical stripes.
Yeah.
But I always kind of thought that represented sort of a charred look, kind of.
Yeah.
And in this case, it was the way they interpreted that with like these
it was like ripples
going across his face, kind of.
Yeah, like he's not like
interesting.
I don't know how to describe it. He's like not a figure. He's more like an entity. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. Yeah, and actually, I didn't even know that was him because we see Dormammu for the first time during this whole trippy sequence. Yeah. I just thought that was just like a random face or something like that, and it wasn't until the end I was like, oh, okay, so that was Dormammu.
Yeah.
Because we also see like after that he like he falls into his mouth, but his mouth like goes on forever. Yeah. Like mirrors. It was just trippy.
Really trippy.
And it didn't last as long as I thought it was going to, but I think it was sufficiently.
I thought it lasted long enough.
Really?
Yeah.
I guess in general the movie wasn't as trippy overall as I thought it was going to be.
No, I definitely think some people will go rewatch this like on mushrooms. But
oh, that sounds like a horrible idea.
It's not going to be
no,
or not mushrooms, LSD. I don't know, whatever makes you.
They're both hallucinogenic.
Are mushrooms hallucinogenic? Anyway,
yes. They can be.
You would know.
I would not know.
What was I going to say? See, now I lost my train of thought.
Stop taking mushrooms, maybe you'll remember. So yeah, he comes back.
Oh, 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Oh.
For some reason, like it's going to be like that. I think people will. This may develop a cult following just because of that, of the trippiness. but I think it's, again, yeah, you're right. It's not as trippy or weird as it could have been, as maybe it
dark.
should have been for a Doctor Strange
trippy
film.
and dark and weird is what it could have been. It could have done with a little bit more of that, I think.
You just can't do that on a Marvel brand, though.
Yeah, the brand is not
When
that
you
dark.
brought up in the last episode, like, when you asked me, could Marvel make this Logan film? And I just realized, like, at that moment, like, my heart broke a little bit. I was like, I don't think they can. And, you also mentioned earlier that this film doesn't push the genre forward in any way, which I think it should have.
I was expecting it to.
Yeah.
For sure.
I mean,
to take the next
just
visual step forward.
because he's not like your typical superhero. He is something very different. So I felt like his movie should have been very different. Yeah, I don't know. I forgot where I was going with that. But
all right, I guess okay. So back to the plot. So he goes back and he wants her to teach him, and she says no. But then Mordo actually, which is a weird turn. I think he convinces her to bring him along, and he kind of becomes his mentor.
Yeah.
And gives him his room and starts teaching him about the ways of the mystic arts. I especially like that, and like at first he's kind of struggling, like it was a little bit like I felt a little bit of empathy there when he was like trying to create the sling ring thing, and he thinks it's all about his hands and everything like that.
Yeah.
And, like all the other students are creating the mandalas and all easily, and he's just he's trying and everything, but he just can't get it.
See, and I wish like later on we would have seen that like he was able to like in those same scenes with all the other students.
Oh, like a montage? You wanted a montage?
I want a montage. Montage.
Yeah. I think I could have done with that a little bit as well, just to show a little bit more training, not speed
and
through
to feel
it.
like a little bit more time had passed as well. Like he became a competent sorcerer, which I feel like I didn't get. Like I felt like he was a good student, but not a competent sorcerer.
Maybe because like he was able to he got the hang of the sling ring, and he was like stealing books from the library and everything, and but like it was more through telling and not showing. It was through the Ancient One's words, where she's like, you become quite the adept sorcerer.
You know what? That's absolutely true.
And
that's absolutely true.
And then like we just kind of take her word for it, because then we see like in a few scenes later where the unique thing that he does is he's able to use the Eye of Agamotto. And even that we don't know is that unique of a thing until it's stated.
Right.
It's told.
Right.
You don't see anybody else try to use it.
Yeah. Is this real quick? Is the sling ring a thing in the comics?
I don't think so. I don't remember that.
Because it was like
I seen him just create
really
portals.
hugely used in this film.
Yeah.
It was like a big thing.
Yeah. There was a cool training scene with Baron Mordo and Steven when they were fighting, and he pulls out we first see the staff of the Living Tribunal.
What the hell is that?
I'm not sure. Is it like
I don't think he should be holding that.
I feel like it's like the Living Tribunal is like a big deal. Like he's like on par with eternity in terms of the level of power and
probably
the cosmic
like even
beings.
more. Like he's more powerful than someone with an Infinity Gauntlet.
Yeah, he's like more powerful than Galactus. Like it was like he may as well like come out and be like, oh, this is the staff of Galactus. I'd be like, what?
Put that shit down.
Don't touch it. Don't touch it. But in the end, it's kind of like it's a blunt instrument that can also stretch.
Yeah, is that a thing in the comics?
I don't know. I don't know that.
You know what is a thing in the comics? The Wand of Watum.
Yeah, which we didn't get to see used.
Which really pisses me off.
Why?
Well, okay, I'm not. It doesn't really piss me off. I feel like I'm like.
I feel it was more like an Easter egg than anything.
Yeah, it was, but like you can't say a gun's name and show a gun, and then not have it fired. It's like one of the rules of like screenwriting of film. Like you can't show a gun in the first act and not have the gun go off in the third act before or.
It was all Easter egg stuff.
So
it's all Easter egg.
I want to know what that shit does. I want to see it used.
Yeah, I liked Baron Mordo's his vaulting boots of Valtor as well.
Those were sweet.
I don't remember the vaulting boots of Valtor in the comics. I remember like the vapors of Valtor, but I don't remember the vaulting boots.
What are vapors? What is that?
They're just vapors. Just like poison vapors kind of thing.
Poison? Okay.
Yeah. Well, magic poison. I don't know.
Okay.
But so
yeah, those are cool.
But like they allow him to kind of like
keep up
during those scenes, like because like Strange could fly using the cloak of levitation, but he had the boots to keep him from dying when they were falling from drastic heights.
I want those boots.
Those are cool.
I almost want those boots more than the
They reminded me of
levitation.
those boots that Link wore in Ocarina of Time.
The hover boots.
Yeah, the hover boots. Those are pretty sweet. So, anyway, what was I talking about?
We were on the training scene.
Okay. Well, I guess we're on to the Eye of Agamotto scene now.
One thing I thought was really clever.
Agamotto. I keep pronouncing it wrong.
One thing I thought was really clever was that he was asking for books on astral projection, and then Wong said was like, "You're not ready for that yet." And then it shows him it was one of those the rare instances during the whole training sequences where it actually showed instead of told. So it was kind of like it was a good explanation for why he was sort of progressing. Mm-hmm. Not that we saw it, but because he was studying even as he was
studying
sleeping.
nonstop.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
That was cool.
So we see him use the Eye of Agamotto.
Yeah.
And they had the cool effect with the apple, and then he.
Well, actually, I think even before that, did you care that he was being a dick to everyone, including the Ancient One, just disrespectful?
Well, she did state I see that instead of just accepting what we're teaching, you're kind of questioning all of your lessons and basically teaching yourself is what she said.
Yeah.
And
but I think
I think it showed him as, I don't think he was being a dick. I think it just showed him as someone who was maybe different. Somebody who's different.
Because I used to live in Asia. I lived there for a little over a year in Korea, and respect is a huge thing in that society.
Uh-huh.
And
but the Ancient One is not Asian.
Okay, there's a problem with that. But also, I think, she would have just been all right, get the fuck out.
Well, she saw something in him, I think. Of course she did. I think it was, in Western culture, it's a virtue to kind of stand out on your own,
Yeah, this is a very Western film.
Yeah.
I feel like, I think Asian audiences will be like, dude, what the fuck?
It was a very, capitalistic take. He kind of, on his own accord, built himself up.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's very true.
Yeah.
I think so. I know he's supposed to be an arrogant jerk, but I think after he had his mind blown, I thought that was sort of his catharsis. I thought he was going to be really open to the teachings and stuff like that, and to not being so arrogant, because the character never struck me that way in the comics.
I think it depends on your perspective.
He's just wise in the comics to me. He's I don't know, almost kind of stoic and wise, and
I think if you view questioning as disrespectful, then yes. If you don't view it as disrespectful, then no.
Well, I mean, even him when he was questioning this character doesn't have a name. Tilda Swinton's character,
the Ancient One.
Yeah, the Ancient One. I keep calling her the Sorcerer Supreme, the Ancient One. When he was like, "Oh, I know all about you and your dirty little secret whorish ways."
What?
You didn't say whorish, but with the dark dimension.
And she told him to choose his next words carefully when he was talking about drawing power from the dark dimension.
Yeah, I don't think Morta would have approached it that way. There's a different way to approach it that I think makes the character a little bit more likable, because there are some instances where I was like, dude, you're being a dick. And not in a good way, in a funny way that Robert Downey Jr. does it, but just in a dickish way.
Well, he was right.
That doesn't make it less dickish.
That just tells me that you're the type of person who does not have a huge rebellious spirit.
That's probably very true.
Yeah.
Where were we?
Again, we're going back to the Eye of Agamotto.
Okay.
He uses it, does the cool apple trick. He finally learns the purpose of sorcery. The purpose of sorcerers is to protect Earth and this dimension from other dimensional threats.
Yeah.
And he's like, nope, that's not what I signed up for. I signed up to heal my hands.
Yeah.
And then he's thrust into it.
Being a dick. Yeah.
I guess. He's thrust into it.
Yeah,
so he goes in.
Real quick, on the Eye of Agamotto,
Mm-hmm.
how do you feel that is an Infinity Stone? Because in the comics, it's not.
Right. In the comics, it doesn't control time.
Right.
In the movie, it does.
So, does that mean, when Thanos gets the Time Stone, and I'm sure the Time Stones don't go back to, where they were originally, after the whole Infinity War films, is the Eye of Agamotto going to be a useless trinket? Because like he's not wearing it again at the end of the film.
Yeah. Okay, so that goes to in the Infinity War movies. Obviously, Thanos is going to have the time gem. Is Doctor Strange basically? Is he still going to be wearing the Eye of Agamotto? Because it's really essential to his look.
Thing.
Well, I guess it's not essential to his look, but it's a big part of his look.
Yeah.
In the comics and everything. He wears the Eye of Agamotto. He was bestowed with it. It's it does a lot of cool things. There's no saying that the relic itself or the artifact is not imbued with other magic besides the time stone.
Yeah, they're gonna have to explain it that way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, into the Sanctum Sanctorum for the first time.
Yes.
He walks around, looks at all the relics. We see the Cloak of Levitation for the first time. I like the way it's portrayed in this film.
Did you? Because it's different too than in the comics. It's not sentient in the comics, right?
No, that's not true. I've read comics where it is sentient.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh. I didn't know that. I thought they were just like trying to make like this the equivalent of like the magic carpet in Aladdin.
No, like I think it was The Oath that I read. It's a story arc called The Oath with Doctor Strange, and he didn't have his Cloak of Levitation at the time because it was off playing with some other relics in the closet or something like that.
You read The Oath?
I did.
I heard that was like the greatest Doctor Strange story that's been.
I want to say it's the greatest, but it was the one you could tell that it was heavily influenced this film, I think.
Really?
Yeah. In terms of the whole astral fight that he had while he was being operated on, and the whole the Cloak of Levitation having sentience and everything like that.
Interesting.
So, I thought it was pretty cool, and like the way it was like able to like block and fight and everything like that, and it was like slamming the guy's head on the ground and which is
rubbing
it was like defending him,
rubbing its collar against his face.
Yeah,
like
he was
cat
like,
or something.
It was like hugging him or something like that.
Yeah.
I think that's what it was doing, or it was. I think he was wiping blood off his cheek or something. Maybe
something.
I still couldn't quite get what he was doing at the time on the second viewing.
It was just another like kind of flop laugh. I was like,
Yeah, but so yeah, he encounters Caecilius for the first time. They fight. I think he did a pretty good job holding his own. You were able to see that Caecilius was able to warp time outside of the mirror dimension, or not warp time, warp space outside of the mirror dimension.
Yeah.
And I thought that was pretty cool. Like it got kind of Escher-esque.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially the way they were running on walls and things like that.
It was definitely more Escher than like Inception. You were right when you were saying like it's like Inception times
1,000.
1,000 or whatever.
Yeah.
I when I was watching it, I thought I was gonna get like Inception vibes. I didn't. So
No.
that was one of the
I didn't
things
really either.
That was one of the things I was worried about. But it was just like so much more like crazier, more kaleidoscopic than that.
Right.
So
it wasn't like folding the city. It was like kaleidoscoping the city. That's a verb.
Yeah.
Just made it one.
It definitely like made it its own. I think so. That was good.
We learned Caecilius's motivations, which I thought were pretty good. Because Mordo says that he first went to Camartage like a broken man, having lost everybody and everyone. So it kind of makes sense that his motivation would be, immortality.
Yeah.
And so I thought his motivations were good. It made sense to me. Then he gets stabbed. He goes to the hospital.
They're magic. I'm glad that they depicted like the dark magic differently from
like the way they create their weapons.
Magic. Yeah. So it was like less sigil, more like spooky, like phantasmic, kind of like
like ghost spears,
ectoplasm, ghost blade.
Yeah. I thought it was really cool. The rules that they set up in this film regarding magic, because the rules don't exist quite as much. You can do whatever you want in the comics, basically.
Yeah.
But they set up rules like I love like the whole mirror dimension aspect. Like I would love to be able to because it's like a sandbox universe. You could do whatever you want in it, and it doesn't affect the real world. It's like a sandbox reality. I thought that was pretty cool. The way how they can create like weapons on their own, kind of, and just like all that stuff. Like there's like a certain set of rules regarding this magic and what you can do with it that don't exist in the comics. And I like having those type of rules.
Yeah. Another thing that like I was apprehensive about, in addition to like the Inception thing, and I spoke about it on the podcast, was like how they were going to depict magic and how I didn't think it was going to be like that interesting.
Right.
I didn't. The way they depict magic with like the sigils and like the sparks and everything, I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I liked it, and the shields of the seraphim. That's what the sigils were.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I like the way they use those both offensively and defensively.
Yeah.
especially the ancient one.
She was so badass.
She was badass.
I want those powers.
I thought the scene where he gets hurt and then he goes to Christine Palmer and then gets operated on, and the way he defeats him is like through the electricity that
Was
passes
that in
through
the
his
Oath?
body. No, that wasn't in the Oath.
Oh.
No, but him talking to Christine Palmer in astral form while his body is dying, that's in the Oath.
Do you think, just to go back to like the mirror dimension, because we haven't really talked about that, do you think that will hinder Doctor Strange, like his fighting ability in future films? Because like if he can only affect the world in the mirror dimension, then...
No, you can affect the world outside of the mirror dimension, as the Ancient One and Caecilius proved. However, by doing it in the mirror dimension, it doesn't have any effect on
on the
the
outside,
outside
world.
Yes.
But I thought the Ancient One was like, holy shit, he's manipulating the world outside of the mirror dimension?
Well, someone who... It's not easy to do that, basically, is what they were saying. Like, the whole scene in the church, I don't know if you go back to the church scene, where... I think it was a church, honestly, where he reads the pages of the book and he does the spell thing, and all of a sudden he's able to warp everything like that.
Yeah.
He wasn't able to do that before. That was all the Ancient One. She was bending space and everything in the mirror dimension.
Right.
As she was fighting them. Then that's when he got the ability to bend space. And that was not in the mirror dimension. That's when he first got the ability to bend space outside.
That's true.
So that was the ability, basically, that he learned. If you don't read those pages, you don't really have that ability.
Okay.
Because you didn't do the... Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So he gets healed. I like that battle. He goes back into goes back to the Sanctum Sanctorum and Tux, he basically accuses the Ancient One, and Mordo's all pissed off about that. But then all of a sudden they're back, the Zealots.
Yeah.
And that's when the big fight happens. I thought that was really cool how he used the mirror dimension right before, like, he dropped his bomb. Caecilius dropped his, like, magic bomb thing. He put it up right before he did it, so, like, nothing happened. I thought that was fantastic. I think that was pretty cool. Like, I don't know why Mordo didn't think to do that, but I guess Mordo is kind of rigid and narrow and just thought about the attack or whatever with his stuff. So they go out into, and this is the big New York mind-bending fight.
Yeah.
What did you think of it?
Really mind-bending.
Yeah. I like the first instance that we see of it, and Mordo's like, he has more power here. Like, this wasn't clever. This was suicide.
Yeah.
But like the first scene, like, we see of him bending space. Like, all of a sudden we see, like, it looks like just like a normal street. Then all of a sudden, like, you see like a taxi cab like come out of, like, fold out of nowhere, and then the perspective changes, kind of like the camera rotates, and it becomes kind of like an illusion.
It reminded me of like something like Monument Valley. The you know that game, right?
Nope.
It's a good game, but it's kind of like that. Like you look at something one way, and then like you rotate the level, and like things line up differently, so you could like find new paths and stuff like that.
Oh, cool.
It was like that. Really well done. Really well done.
So
they're running during this whole sequence essentially because he's so powerful. They're just kind of like, I thought like in the trailers, like they were like trying to fight him. But they're really just trying to get away from him.
Yeah, they're just fleeing. Yeah, and they created the portal with the sling ring to try to get out and trap him in there, but he keeps bending time. He prevents him from escaping.
Not bending time, but...
Or bending space, rather. Yeah. Sorry. Well, time and space are the same thing, right? No?
No.
I don't know.
Well, space-time. But...
So, yeah, I thought that was really cool. Like, just the whole fleeing scene, like, they fall, and, like, he falls through the street. Or, no, he falls through the fire escape kind of thing. But it's, like, he falls through it. I don't know how to explain it. Like, I can't even describe what the hell I saw.
I bet that was
it
really
so
cool
cool. It's like, this is like one of the visual effects animators, like, divided by 0 or something, and just like all this crazy shit happened. Like, I couldn't even describe to you exactly what I saw.
Do you think this will be nominated for a VFX?
I do.
VFX Oscar.
Yes, I do think it will be nominated, and I hope it wins because, yeah, I think it deserves it. It was even like Transformers on steroids, you know, like in terms of all the moving parts. So much work must have went into that.
Yeah,
so
more
much
interesting.
Work. And it's not just simple moving of objects. Like, they move the objects, but they also distorted them in ways that make sense. And I don't know.
Yeah.
It seems like a really hard job to do.
I do remember when I was watching this, I was like, someone thought of this shit.
Yeah.
Like someone like imagined this.
Yeah. Like,
it's crazy.
But it's all abstract thinking. Like, it's like the whole purpose of illusions is like you have like the never-ending staircase or something like that, where it looks like it could exist in the physical world, but
like coming up,
but
with something
it can't exist in the physical world,
right?
and you have to come up with that shit, like other things just like that.
Yeah,
That was awesome.
it was cool.
Kudos to the VFX guys.
And then even when it led up to I wouldn't say it's the climax. It was the climax of that scene when the Ancient One gets involved and they're on that platform and stuff.
Oh yeah,
like
she
that.
created that.
She's that was cool. That was really cool.
She's so cool.
I didn't understand what she did with Baron Modar and Doctor Strange because they were just kind of off on the sidelines just watching.
She didn't do anything to them.
Well, did she put them off on their own platform or something?
No, they were on the same platform. They were just watching because she was handling herself. Except at the very end when she got stabbed, which she didn't see coming because basically Casselius sacrificed one of his guys to get to her. She was blocking him. Yeah, you know what happened.
Yeah.
And then he kicks her through the sling ring thing.
Which was cool because then all of a sudden she was falling.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Yeah, and then she ends up going back to the ER, and we see Christine Palmer again, and we get that fantastic scene, which I think we talked about this before. I liked that final scene of the Ancient One, where they go into the astral form and they go outside and they watch the lightning and stuff. Mm-hmm. I loved that scene, honestly. And to me, the film was lacking a certain profundity up until that point. I thought that moment was incredibly profound, and I wish the whole movie was like that. Honestly,
I don't think it was as profound as it should have been. I think. I don't know, it should have been this, I wanted it to be, really heavy and weighty, but, it just didn't have the profound substance that I thought it should have. It should have been, a sobering study of death and dying, maybe, and, learning what life is, really about, but in the end, she didn't... Tilda Swinton's Ancient One didn't feel that ancient or that wise. It was the big life lesson at the end was it's not about you. It's really?
Well, it wasn't the big life lesson. It was Doctor Strange's big life lesson. I thought it was for him. I thought she was incredibly insightful in that last scene, stating things about Doctor Strange and insightful about Mordo, and she was insightful even really about her own feelings right before her death. I thought it was a fantastic scene. It was probably my favorite scene of the movie, and I don't know if that was mainly due in part to the music.
The music was really good. I just real quick, just because we haven't talked about the music yet, I think this is the best music in any Marvel movie. I thought it worked really well with the film. It was key in making the film feel as different as it was. And yeah, even in that scene, the music was good, but I still didn't get that scene should have given you major feels, and I didn't get that. Did you?
I think I did. Yeah, I think I did.
I didn't at all.
I just it was my favorite scene of the movie. Like I said, I think it got across what it was trying to get across, and the the level of it got as deep as I was hoping much of the film would be. I think
there was surface. There was little substance.
I just say the way they looked in their astral forms with the rain frozen in time and everything like that.
It was snow, right?
Was moving. Snow, I guess. It was just that looked pretty cool in 3D. I think. I wonder if that had any part of the impact too. I guess Tilda Swinton's acting it was just very sorrowful. Even when there was the little lighthearted joke where she's you want to know what I think of your future, and he was no, and he's yes, that kind of the smile that she gave to him, it was a really sad smile. I think that's where I got my feels from. I knew that she was gonna die, and she was sad about it. Yeah, so that's and that takes us to the scene where he says goodbye to Christine Palmer, which I think we already talked about. But from there, he goes back to the sanctum, the library room, and talks to Mordo, who feels incredibly betrayed. Cat. And from there, they go to the Hong Kong sanctum, which I thought, I wasn't sure they were going to be able to top the visual effects from the New York scene, and they really didn't, but they came close with the whole backwards in time fight kind of thing, how that whole rolled out. There were some clever moments there, I think, where you see one of the zealots gets trapped in the fish tank, and as the city is kind of building itself back up, they're like throwing him in, like they threw Casellius into a wall and everything like that. I thought that was incredibly cool. So they came close to the visuals. I think it was a pretty cool scene.
Yeah, it was cool looking.
So from there he goes up into the dark dimension and he does the whole bargaining thing. Dan Harmon, his writing was all over that. Like it felt like a scene right out of Rick and Morty to me. The whole like I don't think that scene has ever happened in Rick and Morty, but something I'm trying to remember the episodes. I think something like that has happened where they were caught in like a time loop or something like that. It felt very Dan Harmon to me.
Yeah, definitely had his great sci-fi writing in that.
Yeah,
not that it was sci-fi, but it was like, just different dimensions and time and stuff like that. Yeah, I agree. It definitely felt very Rick and Morty.
Yeah, it felt. I mean, it was slightly anticlimactic because like one of the part of the appeal of the Doctor Strange comics is that it's this one man going up against these deities and entities and everything that defy imagination, or they're supposed to defy imagination and everything about reality and physics and science and everything. And that's kind of the appeal, and it's supposed to be very kind of epic and grandiose and everything like that. But when we got here, like that final scene where like he bargains with Dormammu and keeps getting killed and everything, it was almost played for laughs. It was a little, it was more clever than it was epic in scale, I feel like. But I thought it was a great way. I thought it was a great strategy. Like I like the strategy that he used using the Eye of Agamotto to defeat the bad guy. I thought it was pretty clever.
Yeah, it was just...
Cat, go away, cat.
Sorry, guys. It was just it was a smart way to... the smartest way, I think, in a superhero film to attack a villain. Yeah,
we've never seen anybody kind of like bargain their way for humanity, or almost like he like imprisoned them, kind of. It's more like a physical clash, but Strange is no physical match for Dormammu, or at least mystical match. But he found a clever way to defeat him. I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah.
So, that takes us to the end. He comes back. The Zealots disappear. Oh, did you have something to say?
No, I mean, just that, like, I think the fact that he couldn't die, the stakes were kind of ruined. But again, I agree, it was clever.
Yeah, like I think that like the epicness was kind of ruined, but like in the end, like I did enjoy that scene. Like I kind of had a smile on my face, like how he managed to trick Dormammu by constantly sacrificing himself. Like, so I can't say that I was disappointed because I did enjoy it, but I do wish that it had a little bit more weightiness to it, I think. But so yeah, he comes back to Earth, and Baron Mordo goes his own way because he's so kind of pissed off and jaded and everything about breaking all the natural laws of nature, I guess. Breaking the laws of nature, and he is implying that there's going to be some kind of price to pay. And I'm wondering if that's going to take, if that's going to happen in some way other than just his killing all the sorcerers. Like, are they going to suffer some other sort of consequence besides just him?
I don't think they will. I think ultimately it's going to be him and maybe something with Thanos. I don't know.
Oh, that would be cool if he teams up with Thanos.
I don't think he'll team up with Thanos. I don't think Thanos is going to team up with anyone. But I think maybe just him using the time stone maybe attracts the attention of Thanos or something like that. And just maybe that's the consequence of him tinkering with it.
Yeah, that would be good.
That's what I thought they were implying.
That's valid. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that could totally be the consequence. And speaking of the time stone, we're now at the scene where he returns it back, and it's actually referred to as an Infinity Stone.
It makes you wonder, like, why they didn't get involved when the other time, like, or not the time stones, the Infinity Gems were on Earth.
I'm not sure if the Infinity Stones are strictly mystical. They may be able to be used for mystical means, I guess. I don't know, but I'm not sure if the gems themselves are mystical. Yeah, that's a good question, actually. So that, I guess from there they go back to the Sanctum Sanctorum in New York, and he kind of takes his rightful place as the master, the guardian of that sanctum. And that's literally the last shot of the film, kind of with him looking out that window. I guess of the main film before the after credits stuff.
Credit scenes.
Yeah. What did you think of the first after credit scene with the inclusion of Thor?
I think
it was directed by Taika Waititi.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I think it's an actual scene from Thor Ragnarok.
Well, in the same way that like the scene between where Falcon and Captain America find Bucky in that like garage place.
Yeah.
Was
in
the
Ant-Man.
in Ant-Man. I think that's probably what they're starting to do. They're starting to like tease a scene from like the next film or something like that, just to kind of set up like the conflict of that film.
It does kind of worry me about how bloated Thor Ragnarok is going to be, because you're going to have the entire Planet Hulk storyline, or it's going to be condensed, but it's going to be in that film, and you're going to have Doctor Strange in the film. So I don't know. I hope it kind of worries me.
I don't think he plays a big role. I think he's probably
I'm sure it's
just honestly. I think his role is primarily just going to be getting them off world.
Maybe or
is it another dimension? Or I wonder if it's going to be like a planet, or if it's going to be another dimension that they're fighting in. Or I think it's going to be in the same dimension for the next Planet Hulk, like what it exists in.
It's going to be another planet.
Okay, I was thinking that
because Hulk doesn't have the means by himself to go to another dimension.
Right, but no, if he did, it would be from Doctor Strange. I was thinking that his role would primarily be transport. He would help them get to wherever they needed to go to be a part of those like gladiatorial games or whatever.
I'm guessing he's just gonna help them find Thanos and then leave. I'm guessing
or Odin.
That's what I meant. Odin, not Thanos. He's gonna be in the movie for like a couple minutes, maybe.
Do you think he's the opening of the film? Do you think that's how they're opening Thor Ragnarok?
The opening.
They're still looking. They're just looking for Odin. But I mean, at the end of Thor 2, no one knows that Loki is posing as Odin, right?
Yeah.
So that's probably opening the film. They need to establish that.
Yeah, they need
before they even start to search for Odin.
Yeah, they need to. Thor needs to see through Loki's ruse at least. If Loki is still pretending to be Odin, he needs to see through the ruse or somehow discover the ruse, and then from there go find the father. So it might take place early on in the film. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah.
And then after that was Benjamin Bratt is back. I thought it was interesting that he did learn magic, but he was using his magic for selfish reasons, just to make him walk.
He wasn't a great sorcerer. He learned enough magic to be able to make himself walk again, and that's all he wanted, and then he left.
Okay.
So Mordo took it from him. I kind of wish this scene, because I thought it was pretty good in setting up Mordo for future films as a future Doctor Strange bad guy. I wish this was the first after credit scene, and then the Thor one.
I agree.
Put that one at the very end.
Yeah. Because okay, first of all, if you're watching a Marvel film, don't leave before the credits.
So many people left.
So many people left. It's like idiots. It's a Marvel movie.
Yeah, it's not just the Avengers movies that do this, guys.
Seriously,
it's all Marvel movies.
So I definitely wish, because that was I feel like that scene was more important to the film than the scene with Thor. I agree that they should have been swapped.
Yeah, but I thought that was a really good scene. Just the delivery. I finally figured out what's wrong with the world. Too many sorcerers, and then that was the end. Yeah, pretty good. So I'm looking forward to the sequel whenever that will be. I'm sure there will be a sequel because it's making quite a bit of money. It sounds like. So
yeah. Do
overall,
you think it's going to have long legs?
This movie, I think it will. Yeah, I bet you it's going to end up north of $600 million. I think.
I'm wondering. I'm sure the word of mouth will be good, but it just seems like they're, personally, I usually go to see the films in groups with coworkers, but I only saw it with one other coworker this time. Mm-hmm. I'm just wondering what that means in terms of the characters, what am I trying to say? How recognizable the character is.
That's a good question. I don't know. A lot of my friends were excited to see this film. But I don't know if that certainly doesn't speak for the general populace. They may be less excited to see this film than, a Captain America film or something, just because of the name recognition. But I think word of mouth on this is going to be pretty good. I think a lot of your friends who haven't seen it will probably end up seeing it at some point in the theaters. Yeah. I think a lot of people are actually going to go see it again for the 3D if they haven't seen it in 3D. At least that's what I did. I'm speaking incredibly subjectively.
Well, I mean, actually, I know a few people. One of the reasons they said they weren't going to go was because they wanted to see it in 3D. Oh. And I was like, I'm not paying for that shit.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. If you want to see it again, I would recommend seeing it in 3D. You probably won't.
I might.
You
I
might?
might. Yeah, my wife hasn't seen it.
Oh, really?
So
Oh.
I'll take her to see it.
Yeah.
Date night.
It's worth seeing again. Overall, star rating.
This is a very reluctant 4 stars.
I would actually say the same thing. Actually, when I walked out of the theater, I was like 3.5 stars. But then I started comparing it to other films that I gave 3.5 stars. Like, I like this more than Avengers: Age of Ultron, which I gave 3.5 stars. Mm-hmm. But I like it less than Captain America: Civil War, which I gave 4.5 stars. So in between there is 4 stars.
Yeah.
So I guess it falls squarely there. That's the same rating that I gave Deadpool, and I feel like.
I thought I liked Deadpool a lot more than this.
I like Deadpool more than I wouldn't say like a lot.
Because I didn't walk out of Deadpool as like unsatisfied as I did with this film. I think a lot of it has just to do because like I feel like Doctor Strange again like wasn't fully developed. He didn't become the Sorcerer Supreme, so it was kind of a letdown. Mm-hmm.
I think they were equal in my mind. I mean, obviously they're not the same movie, so they can't be graded on quite the same
different
scale.
genres.
But like as far as good as Doctor Strange could have been, I feel like it was just one step removed. And same thing with Deadpool. So
that's fair.
4 stars. But I will say, like, if I could give it like 3.9 stars, I would.
Yeah,
but I round up to 4.
Just to speak on genre real quick, like Marvel films, one of their tricks for like preventing their films from getting stale is that they tap into different genres. Like Ant-Man was a heist film,
right?
And Winter Soldier was like a spy thriller,
right?
This one, I think, was like in terms of like trying to like in the same way that Ant-Man wasn't like a perfect heist film in the same vein as something like, I don't know, Italian Job or something like that.
Yeah.
I think one of the reasons is because like the main climax always has to be like a battle between the hero and the villain. Mm-hmm. So like in the Italian Job, the climax is like the heist.
Right.
In Ant-Man, it's a final battle. And I think the same thing kind of happens here. I'm not sure what genre this is.
Yeah, I was trying. But while you were saying that, I was trying to think. I don't think this fits into its own genre. I think it fits squarely into the superhero genre. Like it maybe could have gone into like
if anything,
like
it
a fantasy genre
or like
something?
Harry Potter. Yeah,
yeah.
That's what it almost. I think that's more of what I was expecting.
Yeah.
More like something like Harry Potter.
Yeah.
But I do think that like
I don't think this is
Marvel runs into a problem with that because they can't fully be in that genre because at the end of the day it still has to be a superhero film.
Right. And I think they didn't really even dip their toe that much into the fantasy genre. I think like I wouldn't call this a fantasy film even though it has fantasy elements.
Yeah.
I think it's a superhero film.
Do you wish it would have been more?
Yeah, I would have liked to have seen that.
Me too. I would have really liked to have seen that.
Like I think Thor: The Dark World tapped a little bit more into the fantasy realm than this one did.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like all the otherworld magical feeling felt very just. They were just pixels. They were just energy, basically. It didn't have to be magic. It was just like blasts and shields and stuff like that. You know.
Yeah. Do you think that's a problem for Marvel going forward?
No.
Like I mean, it doesn't seem to like they're basically printing money. This is like Disney's biggest year so far.
Yeah.
They're at like 5 100 billion.
Wow.
Not 100 billion, but just billion.
I was like, what?
Yeah, just 5 billion. Anyway, so they're making a ton of money, so they definitely have like a formula down. But like, I gotta say, one of the reasons that I'm so reluctant to do this is because like I really want to save 4s for like I would say like Deadpool I think deserved a 4 because it was definitely genre pushing. This film I feel like wasn't genre pushing.
It wasn't genre pushing, but it was no 3.5.
It was a solid film, but yeah, and that's like my internal struggle. It's like I want these great like mind blowing films to like be highly rated. This is not that, but it is a good film.
Yeah, like I think I said like we said at the beginning, we both said that what's holding it back is the formula and the story, basically the fact that it's very archetypical.
Yeah,
and yeah, I think that pretty much nails it.
I'm trying to think of like the really like genre pushing Marvel films. I would say Guardians of the Galaxy was.
Yeah.
I would say
Winter Soldier
was.
Iron Man.
I would say Iron Man absolutely was.
Yeah.
Is there anything else?
I think
that
the
you'd say?
Avengers, in terms of like the team, just like everybody's going for the team movie now. I think
Maybe.
not genre pushing, maybe, but how do I explain it? Balancing multiple complicated arcs. I think the way it did that juggling act, I think, pushed the genre forward in terms of future team films. I think.
Maybe, yeah. I think the Avengers definitely, like, even probably maybe even more so than Iron Man, like, set the tone, set the brand tone for
Yes.
for
Definitely.
Marvel films.
Yeah, everything goes slightly off brand. Yeah, absolutely. Avengers was the new brand. So.
Joss Whedon.
Yeah. All right, I think that does it for this review. So 4 stars. We'll go ahead and get that review badge up. Again, guys, if you listen to us on iTunes or anything other than SoundCloud, follow us on Instagram. Go ahead and do a search for DC Marvel Battlecast on Instagram if you have it, and go ahead and you'll see the reviews that we have for all the films and all of our neat little Battlecast images that we create when we're pitting, like, the Joker against Green Goblin in the case of the last one.
Yeah.
So
We like them. It's my cell phone wallpaper.
yeah.
And also, if you want to, like, send us any suggestions, commentary on anything, follow us on Twitter. I post a ton of stuff, news stuff there, like, every day, like 24/7.
Yeah.
So follow us on Twitter.
Yeah, our next episode will be a Battlecast episode,
Right.
so send us your ideas. We're going to pit somebody from DC against somebody from Marvel. Who would you like to see? Reach out to us on Twitter and also Gmail.
And spread the word.
Spread the word.
If you like us, like, you don't only have to like us, like, on, hit the like button or anything, but, like, tell people about us. Let them know, like, I think one of the things, one of the reasons I'm proud of this, in terms of, like, the Battlecast, like, sort of our angle for this podcast, is that, like, they're scientific. I see a lot of stuff on like YouTube and stuff where it's like, people will talk about what they're capable of doing and then say, oh, this person's ours gets down into the nitty gritty with the stats and the numbers and stuff like that. So spread the word.
Yeah. Give us a review if you want to. That's how kind of you tell Apple that our podcast should be put in
on
front
iTunes.
of more people.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that does
Help
it.
a brother out.
I think that does it for this episode. So we will see you guys in 2 weeks. And until then,
Up and away.
true believers.